What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Flame Trench, where I am not joined by my ever-competent cohort of co-hosts. It's just me for the next 2 hours. We're going to talk a lot about Artemis 2 and do a lot of other fun things. I'm not getting nervous. What's that? Oh.
And here we go.
There's the W. Here's ignition.
Roger, roll, Atlantic. Doubling up.
Did you just do a kerbal?
Back to the moon and beyond.
Put that in the big bag, Jingle.
Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, it sure looks like a perfect world.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
We did have an observation.
Equination.
343 unfolds to go.
It's orange.
Water towers can fly!
Bingo! Right in the center. Where's Jacqueline? There it is!
That was surreal.
That's not what we want to see.
No!
Oh my God.
Yikes. You bet. Sure. We don't need any more of these.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Flame Trench. I am EJ from Twitch. I stream over on Twitch, and I'm alone. Everybody left me. They're all gone. I call in sick for 1 week, and this is what happens? Oh, this is ridiculous. No, we're gonna have fun. It's just you, me, and then I got Jay producing. And Jay, are you out there? You can talk with us, right?
I can talk with you.
Hi, all right. So it's just you and me, buddy.
Just you and me.
EJ and J. It's like
EJJ?
PB and J. Yeah. It's like PB and J, but different.
Exactly.
All right. So this is going to be a little bit of a different kind of format for Flame Trench, guys. We'll share news, but I'm really looking to have a conversation with chat. This is how you do this if you're doing a solo cast. If you watch me over on Twitch, you know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to be talking to you guys. You talk to me. I mean, you could do that tag at NASASpaceflight if you want to, but I'm going to try to be going with the chat in real time back and forth. We're going to talk about Artemis 2. We're going to talk about how the Artemis 2 stack is rolling out tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Eastern time, and then a press conference with Jared Isaacman, the new NASA administrator, at 9 tomorrow. So, on top of all that, they just released the press kit for Artemis 2. So, we're going to do this Flame Trench is going to kind of be a very relaxed, impromptu, review of this press kit. So, I'm hyped. The press kit looks pretty good. A press kit for a NASA mission basically entails all phases of the mission, what the mission's supposed to do, timing details and stuff. This is going to be, for the nerds, this is going to be stuff that you guys probably want to see. There it is. They released the whole thing. And I mean, if you just scroll down through this document, you see there's tons of details in there. But before we go through, I'm just going to go through with the support, guys. There was some starting support. I appreciate you. There was Matt with the 10 Red Team memberships. I do appreciate you, Matt. You're the man. We had Space Pope blessing the trench as per usual. Thank you very much. We had, what's this name? What is this? Gangsta Daddy 510. Nice. Becoming a Red Team member. That's great. Oliver Redmond with $6.22 super chat. I suppose in that case, it is our job to argue with you. Please. Oh, yes. Yes. Oh, yeah. No. Do that. It'll be fun. No, it won't. Yes, it will. Oh. All right. And we have, let's see, Revhead HP 5KQ. Gifting 5 memberships. Thank you very much. So once again, guys, when we do a normal Flame Trench, I'm usually going back and forth with Alex about, or Sawyer, or he who will not be named, the abandoner, when he was here, about different topics. But I want to have a conversation with you guys. This is how you do this. I mean, I don't think anybody would care if it was just me talking to myself here in this room, in my shop, in my backyard for 2.5 hours straight. No, let's have a conversation about Artemis 2. So I think that's where we should, let's start there. I mean, unless you guys want to talk about Crew 11 coming down or something, we have the Artemis 2 press kit out. So let's go through the mission overview. Let's see what we got here. Oh, kudos to the dark mode right there. Very good. So let's read and see what's good. Artemis 2 is NASA's first crewed test flight in the Artemis campaign. 4 astronauts will fly aboard NASA's Orion spacecraft and confirm the spacecraft systems operate as designed in the deep space environment. Deep space being anywhere beyond low Earth orbit, where no one has been for over 50 years. It's pretty crazy. In this golden age of exploration and innovation, the Artemis mission will allow astronauts to explore the moon for scientific discovery, economic benefits, and build momentum for the first crewed missions to Mars. All right. The Artemis 2 mission profile follows the uncrewed Artemis 1 flight test by demonstrating a broad range of SLS and Orion capabilities for deep space. This mission will provide Orion's life support systems are ready to sustain crew on future missions and allow the crew to practice operations essential to the success of Artemis 3 and beyond. NASA's Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Cook, and Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen are the Artemis 2 astronauts. Nice. All right. Let's see. The initial launch will be similar to Artemis 1 as SLS lofts Orion into space with a crew aboard this mission. Orion in the upper stage, called the interim cryogenic propulsion stage, not a Delta IV upper stage. It is. It's just a little longer. Yeah, whatever. Will then orbit the Earth twice to ensure Orion systems are working as expected while still close to home. Orion will start in an elliptical orbit that will be refined to a safe, high Earth orbit of approximately 44,525 by 115 statute miles. Okay, let's do the metric conversion on that. 70,000 kilometers by 180, something like that. That was a real quick estimate. Chat, you correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I don't need to ask. You're going to do it anyway. But statute miles, I do like those. Those are nice. Yeah, and then from there, after the burn to enter high Earth orbit, Orion will separate from the upper stage, which the crew will use as a target for a manual piloting test called the Proximity Operations Demonstration. So this part, this phase of the mission is that first kind of ring, not that part right there, but it's the first one. They're going to separate from the upper stage. They're going to turn the capsule around, look at the upper stage, go forward, back off, rotate 90 degrees to it, go forward, back off, and then back away from the discarded upper stage. So from there, this demonstration will provide performance data and operational experience that cannot be readily gained on the ground in preparation for critical rendezvous, proximity operations, and docking, as well as undocking operations in lunar orbit beginning on Artemis 3. Yep, there you go. There's a shot of the RPO demo there. Nice outdoorsman, nice. All right. So, checking critical systems. Following proximity operations demonstration, the crew will turn control of Orion back to mission controllers at NASA Johnson and spend the remainder of the orbit verifying system performance in the space environment. While still close to Earth, the crew will assess the performance of the life support systems necessary to generate breathable air. Orion will also test the communications and navigation systems to confirm they are ready for the trip. While still in elliptical orbit around Earth, Orion will briefly fly beyond the range of the global positioning satellites and tracking and data relay satellites to allow an early checkout of the agency's deep space network communication and navigation abilities. Yeah, if you fly higher than the TDRS, the antennas are pointed in the wrong direction. So if you fly behind it, it can't see you. Weird how that works, right? After completing checkout procedures, Orion will perform the next propulsion move called the Translunar Injection Burn, TLI for short, where Orion's service module will provide the last push needed to put the spacecraft on an outbound trip of about 4 days. Let me read that sentence again. will be needed to put the spacecraft on an outbound trip of about 4 days and around the far side of the moon, tracing a figure 8 that will extend more than 230,000 miles from Earth. So that's 400,000 kilometers, give or take. I think that's about right. It's like 380,000 kilometers. We'll round up. Nice round number. All right. So from there, on the remainder of the trip, the astronauts will continue to elevate the spacecraft systems, including practicing emergency procedures, testing the radiation shelter on board the spacecraft, taking part in science experiments, and making observations from the moon from a closer vantage point than human eyes have had in more than 50 years. The Artemis II crew will travel approximately 4,600 miles beyond the far side of the moon. That's what's that in kilometers? Like 8,000 kilometers beyond the far side. They will see the moon, and they will see the moon from Orion's windows, with the moon close in the foreground and Earth in the background. From the crew's location, the moon will look to be about the size of a basketball held at arm's length. See, any unit of measurement but the metric system. So sorry, guys. Once Orion and the crew come around the far side of the moon, they'll begin the return leg of their journey home. Instead of requiring propulsion on the return, their fuel efficient trajectory will harness the Earth-Moon gravity field, ensuring ensuring Orion will be pushed back naturally by Earth's gravity for the free return portion of the mission. Orion will splash down in the Pacific Ocean, and the spacecraft and crew will be recovered with the help of the United States Navy, offering another opportunity to put new processes to the test for the first time. The lessons learned throughout the mission will pave the way for humans to return to the lunar surface. Through Artemis, NASA will explore more of the moon than ever before and create an enduring presence in deep space while simultaneously preparing to land the first astronaut, an American, on Mars. Okay, so there's your overview. We have rollout for this scheduled tomorrow, and the launch is scheduled for the first week of February, pending how good the rollout and testing of the rocket out at the pad goes. How are you guys feeling about this? I'm feeling pretty good that they're good for launch. I mean, this is pretty good. It's kind of ridiculous. We're like 2.5 weeks out from humans going to low Earth orbit. Like, ever since I got into spaceflight, I've been dreaming about this day. Like, when are we going to do another Apollo 8 style mission? Like, well, dude, that's happening in less than a month. That's happening in less than a month. Can you believe that? This is nuts. And yeah, we got some shots of this is the roll from Artemis 1 right here. How's the weather looking for rollout? That's coming from John over in Twitch. It doesn't look too bad. It's going to be a little cold tomorrow, but yeah, other than that, it looks pretty clear as far as I can tell. What about the heat shield? Outdoorsman, really? We haven't even been going for 20 minutes. You're going to I don't know. NASA says that they're confident in the flight profile for Orion's heat shield. The context of this is that there was some charring and spalling on the Artemis 1 heat shield that returned from lunar orbit. The NASA flight controllers in charge of this mission, the NASA administrator, Jared Isaacman, all say they're confident that the revised flight profile will prevent charring and spalling that was seen on Artemis 1. At least it'll mitigate it to an extent until Artemis 3 rolls around, where they'll redesign the heat shield to not have any spalling or charring at all. But yeah, I don't know, man. I talked about this a little bit earlier over on my YouTube, on the YouTube / Twitch stream. I have my trepidations about it, but I also really believe in bad juju. Like, don't concern troll NASA when they're doing a mission. Don't be like, well, it's gonna fail. No, don't do that. That's not cool. I love engineering, and analysis proves it, right? Corroborate the analysis with flight data. There's bad juju. That's absolutely a thing. We don't want any bad vibes during the mission. So I'm not like sold completely on the heat shield, but if Jared Isaacman says it's good, I believe him. I don't think he would send it if he wasn't confident. What did they change for the re-entry trajectory? So Nocturlox, the Orion capsule in the entry, descent, and landing phase of the Artemis 2 mission is going to fly basically on a very similar trajectory to the Apollo missions. So the Apollo missions, when they came down, they came in on what's called a trans-Earth injection return trajectory. All right, so you're coming back from the moon. That's the right way to say it. And it dug into the atmosphere, and then it kind of leveled off, and then came down. The idea there is managing your energy by kind of not just going straight down. First of all, you don't want to liquefy the crew with G-forces on board. Second of all, you don't want to boil them inside of the capsule. If you enter too quickly, you're going to get too hot too fast. This kind of level off and coming down is there to manage your thermal properties on the heat shield. Basically, the heat shield can get too hot. It's possible. Yeah, that is absolutely a thing. The heat shields do have a backing plate. The Apollo capsule and the Orion capsule both have this. There's an aluminum backing plate behind them that is basically a heat sink, similar to what you'd see on like a computer. It's there to conduct a certain amount of heat away from the heat shield. But if it gets too much, then obviously you're going to have charring and spalling. We don't want that, right? We don't want none of that. That's no good. So the Artemis 2 crew is going to fly on a flight profile that's similar to Apollo, where it kind of comes in, levels off, and then re-enters. The idea is that you bleed off a ton of speed, and then the second phase of re-entry is basically re-entering from a velocity that's similar to coming back from low Earth orbit. But that first dig into the atmosphere, it gets pretty dang warm. But you don't want it to get too warm, right? Yeah, it'll soak up the heat, exactly. Yeah, I'm the only one, guys. I'm doing this solo today, Keith. I am reading chats, and I want to talk with you guys. I want to have a conversation about it. So tag at NASASpaceflight or at EJ, whatever. Just talk to me. It's just me. I have nobody to talk to. I'm lonely. I got Jay. I mean, Jay's cool. Hi, Jay.
Hi, EJ.
Hey, man. All right, cool. And Jay's what's bringing us these awesome pictures, this awesome B-roll footage for us. See, that's the. So let me get back to it real quick. That's the Artemis 1 reentry profile. So Orion was designed to skip off the atmosphere. So it's going to dive into the atmosphere at a little bit of a shallower trajectory, right? Skip off the atmosphere, go back up into space, and then come back down. The idea there is, once again, heat management on the heat shield. You can't dig too far too fast into the atmosphere, or your peak heating will be a lot, or it's not necessarily peak heating. Your peak heating will be higher on a steeper reentry trajectory. Your period of heating will be shorter, though. So how I like to describe different reentry trajectories here is like, I'm hungry right now, so I hate bringing up food, but different reentry trajectories are like flash frying something versus slow cooker, like a barbecue, right? We ideally want our heat shields coming in with people on board to be more like a slow cooker. You want a longer period of heating, but an overall lower temperature. You don't barbecue at 500 Fahrenheit. That's just strange. Okay. Slow cooking, low temperature. That's what we want. Something like an ICBM is the equivalent of flash frying something, like dropping the turkey in the dang pot of oil and hope it doesn't blow up in your face. Right? Like, that's a steep reentry trajectory. You have a very, very short period of heating, but the overall temperature your peak heating temperature is much higher. So once again, these skip trajectories that these capsules run from coming from the moon, right? They do that skip off the atmosphere to slow cook the heat shield because you don't want it to burn too much too quickly. That's what creates charring and spalling. I mean, amongst other things. Yeah, Bob, over in the YouTube chat, Apollo kind of leveled off. Orion is designed to skip off the atmosphere. So yeah, it seems like kind of similar, but that is a completely different thermal management regime there, skipping off the atmosphere. You need a lot longer of an entry corridor to do the full skip that they want to do with Orion. Per NASA's press conference this morning, Jeff, one of NASA's flight controllers, said that the reentry corridor for Orion with a full skip trajectory is like 4,000 miles. And then the Artemis 2 trajectory, which is much more similar to Apollo, is 1,775. I really wish it would be one more than that. That'd be pretty cool. But 1,775 is good too. That's good. Why are they using 4 crew instead of 2 like the other flight tests we've seen in recent history? That's actually a super good question, Cooks. I'm not sure I actually have the answer to that. I think, it's, if I had to guess, it's probably to put the life support system through its paces. That would probably, if I was going to throw my sweet NSF Live hat into the ring, that's probably what I'd wager. Yeah, cool. So, weather guy over in my Twitch chat is one of my moderators over there. Forecast for A2 rollout tomorrow. Slight chance of light showers in the morning, but that should be about it, if anything. Cool tonight for Florida, but we are they're post cold front, so the weather should be mostly benign. There you go. Conditions look good. Can we get a 3 box of EJ? I'll leave that up to Jay if he wants to do that or not. I think that would look a little too like 1984 for my taste. I don't think we should do that. I'll be your wingman. Okay, Ryan, there you go. No, guys, I'm good. I'm fine right here. Yeah, exactly. Yuri, when they did the Artemis 1, this reentry right here, the heat shield outgassed after it skipped off the atmosphere, and that caused the heat shield, which gets mechanically compressed a little bit because it's being ablated off by aerodynamic compression, which is reentry heating, right? It allowed it to outgas, and that outgassing actually cracked the heat shield a lot too. What is the chance we will get a perfect wet dress rehearsal for SLS without any news of the leaks? Gabriel, yeah, see, look at the charring on that dang heat shield. I'll get to that in a second. The more you look at this, the worse it gets. There is just big chunks of this heat shield missing, and there's entire sections of Avcoat, which is their ablator material, that are missing. They're down to the backing plate in certain spots, which is very, yeah, you don't want, that's a hole in the heat shield. I don't think I need to explain why you don't want that and why this updated trajectory would prevent it. Test how you fly. Yeah, Blackness. If there was another SLS rocket teed up, I'd say launch this one with nobody on it and then launch the next one with people. But hey, this is what we got. If NASA's confident enough that their analysis is on par, and the NASA administrator Jared Isaacman agrees, and all the engineers agree on it, and most importantly, if the crew accepts the vehicle, if the crew's cool with it, I mean, considering it's their height, I think we're okay. But moving on. So what you asked was about the wet dress rehearsal. So wet dress rehearsal, guys, for the people that don't know, is after they roll the rocket to the pad, but before they go and launch it, they do a full countdown. Wet dress rehearsal implies that the rocket is wet. No, it's not, because it's raining out. It's wet implies fuel. So they go through the entire countdown, fueling the vehicle, tanking it with liquid hydrogen, liquid oxygen, right? And at T-minus 30 seconds, they stop and abort the launch sequence. It is a launch campaign with everything but the launch. Now, when Artemis 1 went through, what was the count up to, dudes? I think, how many wet dress rehearsals did they end up doing? Wasn't it like 5 or 6 or something? It wasn't ideal. But see, here's the thing. I think that it'll be okay. And this, what do I know? I don't know, man. I just stream on Twitch. I think it'll be fine. I think they learned a lot from the Artemis 1 launch campaign, especially when it comes to not ground umbilical carrier plates, tail surface mast carrier umbilicals. I think they learned a lot on how those the umbilical attachment plates work with SLS. And I think they obviously have implemented the mitigations that they did during the Artemis 1 campaign to Artemis 2. I honestly think this should be pretty smooth sailing. If you think about it, guys, there's not that much different between this rocket and the one that launched on Artemis, the SLS that launched Artemis 1. They're very similar in configuration. There are a couple of different things, like this one has 4 people on it. That's kind of a big deal. And if it has 4 people on it, it has environmental control and life support systems, or ECLIS for short. So there are changes, but those changes I don't think would affect a wet dress rehearsal too much. I did the thing, didn't I? Whatever. It's fine. So I honestly think, dudes, that this wet dress rehearsal will go pretty well. I'd say maybe, like, if we're going to be a pessimist about this. Hi, Ryan. If we're going to be a little bit on the pessimistic side of things, I think maybe one scrub, maybe. Man, I just said that. I just said that on NSF in front of all you people. I really hope I don't eat those words later.
You said the words.
I did say it, man. I'll put it. I'm gonna put good vibes out into the world. That's what we're doing. That's my resolution, New Year's resolution for 2026. We're putting out good vibes. All right, I call it on my stream Wumbo maxing. Don't worry about it. You don't need to know what that means. It's the 4th grade. Come on. No, I think maybe once, maybe, but the vehicle configuration for the core stage and the ICPS really is not all that different. The core stage does have one minor different configuration to it, and that is that it has winglets. It has little winglets, or dare I say canards, around the forward SRB attachment points. And those are designed to prevent disrupted air between the SRBs and the core stage during liftoff. There was a lot of aerodynamic drag, a lot of turbulent air going through that area on Artemis 1. So they put little winglets on the sides of the core stage where the SRB is attached up at the front to kind of dampen out aerodynamic induced vibrations during launch. Make it so the crew doesn't herniate a disc on the way up. Yeah, you don't want them being like Looney Tunes coming out of the craft like an accordion. That would be not ideal. We need Reed, Christina, Victor, and Jeremy coming back not shorter. That would be good. I'm pretty sure they would appreciate it too.
That's a photo from the SLS reference guide of the winglets.
Oh, where's that at? Hold on. That's in the press kit, Jay?
No, the SLS reference guide.
Oh, the SLS reference guide. Oh, whoa. Look at us. That's awesome. AJ, what has NASA done to the pad to protect it during this Artemis 1 launch? Yeah. That's another good one, dude. For the people that don't know, there's a mobile launcher. That's this thing right here. See this thing? Everything in this picture that's lit up, that's not rocket. This thing right here. This is called the launch umbilical tower. Okay. The launch umbilical tower has doors in it because it has an elevator that the astronauts use to get up here to use that crew access arm to get into that rocket. Right? Artemis 1, well, there was no crew on board. When they went to launch it, it created such an overpressure event on the deck of the mobile launcher. So right here, it blew the doors out. It blew the doors off the elevator shaft. Whoops. So that's context for people. They have reinforced that mechanism based off of findings from the Artemis 1 mission. They looked at it and said, that's probably not great. Probably shouldn't have that. So they have up armored, to use the wrong terminology in the right context. They have up armored the ML. They basically gave it heavier doors. All right. Let's see. What testing should NASA do with Starship before Artemis 3 in terms of Orion to Starship docking? Well, SpaceX has to do a demonstration mission, but the rendezvous proximity operations outdoorsman from this mission should give them some good data on rendezvous and docking. Yeah, that should give them enough data to basically be able to connect the dots to figure out how this thing docks together. I mean, Orion is using an NDS-derived docking system. So NDS is NASA docking system. It's similar to the IDSS, the International Docking System Standard that Dragon and Starliner use. So there's a lot of that's a lot of known capability. They have a lot of experience there with that style of docking port. So the risk is kind of retired there. The real thing is making sure the capsule can steer precisely to dock it, right? So the RPO phase of the, did I say RPO? I think run pass option. The rendezvous proximity operations, sorry, football is leaking. The rendezvous proximity operations of Artemis 2 should give them a sufficient data coupled with the knowledge that they have of the NDS and the IDSS working on the ISS correctly. There was a lot of acronyms there. I swear I'm not making up words. They should have a lot of risk retired with it for Artemis 3 to do the first docking. How big is the launch window? Oh, the launch windows. Okay, so the launch windows are contingent on a couple of different things. It's really contingent around, well, I mean, I don't have any better way to say this. The moon has to be in the right place. That's like, if you're going to shoot the moon, it has to be in the right place. And also with lunar phasing, it's called lunar phasing. That's the cool way that's the nerd way of saying it. Like the lunar phasing has to be correct. And because of this, the launch windows are really in the early parts of every month. So first and second week of February, you have launch windows. There are good opportunities there. And then first and second week of March, if I'm remembering correctly. There are charts out there, guys. I only got a quick glimpse of them at one point. Long story short, the other thing that they have to take into account is that when Artemis 2 flies by the moon, right, on its free return trajectory, they ideally want the far side of the moon to be lit by the sun. There's only so many times during the month that happens. The day-night cycle on the moon, right, so lunar night and lunar day lasts 2 weeks because the moon is tidally locked. Now, okay, I'll get into orbital mechanics real quick, just in case anybody doesn't know this. So if you look up at the moon, you see a bunch of gray spots on it, like it's got like acne or something. Those are lunar basaltic lowlands, all right? So that's basalt flats. What does that mean in plain English? Long story short, something hit the moon a long time ago and deposited a lot of something on the close side of the moon. And that kind of offset the moon's kind of center of gravity versus its geometric center, right? So the part with the lowlands, right, always faces towards Earth. So because it faces towards Earth, right, the day-night cycle is every 2 weeks because it takes, this isn't going to be completely, it takes about a month for the moon. It's not exactly a month, but you get the idea. It takes about a month for the moon to do one revolution. So 2 weeks day, 2 weeks night. They want to make sure that when NASA wants to make sure, I mean, this is why the launch windows are like first and second week of February, first and second week of March. They ideally want to get the full backside of the moon lit by the sun, but it's not like a super important mission priority. This is more about shaking down the capsule and everything and making sure it can rendezvous to things. That's kind of important. Yeah, there's your launch forecast right there. See, there are launch opportunities first and second week of every month. But they ideally want to launch it where the astronauts will be able to see the moon when they fly by it. They don't want the moon to be in dark. They don't want the far side of the moon to be in darkness. Now, once again, that is not like a mission requirement. It's much more, the launch opportunities are much more about recovery conditions and launch conditions, right? We don't want any upper level winds. That's bad. And more importantly, you don't want the weather to potentially be bad where it comes back down. But see, this is where this gets a little tricky, because I know people are looking at this and saying, that's it? That's all? Wait, what do you mean? They just can't launch it? Well, think about it, dudes. How hard is it to predict the weather in 10 days? It's hard to predict the weather 2 weeks out. It's easy to predict the weather 5 months out, right? You know that in 5 months, so where I live in the United States, right, in 5 months, it's probably going to be warmer, right? Pretty easy to say that. I live in New England. I don't know what the weather's going to be like tomorrow, let alone like 2 weeks out. Maybe cold, right? So there's a lot of contingent things here, but it more depends on launch and recovery conditions. That's really, really important. You don't want to go and try to fish out a capsule in rough seas. That would be bad. Now, to be honest, let's be real. The Navy could probably figure it out, but that's added risk to the mission. You don't want to do that. Remember, this Artemis 2 is a test flight. It's a test flight with people on board. You ideally want your test flights to be the golden rule for all future flights, right? You want this to be the gold standard for how future Artemis missions go. So the recovery, you want the recovery as close to like pristine ConOps as you, like exactly what you said they would do. You want that. And rough seas would make that a little bit complicated, right? Cool. Thanks. That was exactly the answer you're looking for. Yeah, no problem, dude. Imagine being in the capsule in rough seas to recover. That was over on Twitch chat. I'm getting seasick just thinking about that. Oh, need water. All right. That would be terrible. But yeah, keep it going, guys. Keep it going. We got our, like, once again, I want to be very clear. Like, we have a moon mission. NASA has a moon mission in less than a month. The last time humans went this far away from the planet was in 1972. I was not here. Raise your hand if you were. I know some of you out there were. And that's cool, and I'm super jealous that you got to see a Saturn V launch, okay? But we got SLS and Starship, and that's pretty good too. You know, and New Glenn. We got all those. We got 3 of them. That's pretty good. You can get your own water from the NSF. Are you seriously trying to make me drinking water into a merch plug? He's like, yes. No, over on Twitch chat. So, no, launch is not tomorrow. Rollout is tomorrow. So NASA has been building the Artemis 2 stack for the past, year, inside of their vehicle assembly building down at Cape Canaveral, down at Kennedy Space Center. You can't miss the VAB. It is a gigantic building that's 50 stories tall in the middle of Florida, and it's in the middle of a wildlife refuge. Yeah, that thing. They've been building it in there. Tomorrow is when they do what's called rollout. So Crawler Transporter 2, CT2 for short, which is basically a kit-bashed mining vehicle from the 60s, is going to go roll in there. The thing looks like it's the closest thing we've come to a Jawa sand crawler, okay? It's a gigantic tracked vehicle that's going to roll into the VAB, pick up SLS and its launch pad and launch umbilical tower, and roll it out 3 miles that way relative to the picture to to complex 39B, and set it down on the pad in preparation for the launch campaign. That's the Crawler Transporter right there. That thing is super cool. Those are the same Crawler Transporters that NASA used during the shuttle program. Crawler Transporter 2 actually dates all the way back to the Apollo program. That's what the CTs were built for. There's 2 of them, CT1 and 2. I do believe that people down there call them Hans and Franz. They enjoy lifting things. I don't know why I said that like that, but you get the idea. Okay, so a little bit for the nerds. The CT-1 and CT-2 were made by the Marion Power Shovel Company in Marion, Ohio. Like I said, it's a kit bash mining vehicle on a custom chassis. The power plant in those things is 2 Alco 261C V16 turbo diesels. Now, if you know diesels, boy, you know that is a dang fine diesel right there, boy. Alco, American Locomotive, which is also no longer a thing. But hey, whatever. They still work. They're still on duty. Still doing work, just saying. These crawler transporters have an upward capability of moving something that's 16 million pounds or 7.2 million kilograms. That's a lot. They can move the entire rocket and its launch pad out to the pad. Now, CT-2, that one moved Apollo 4, the first Saturn V launch. That exact crawler transporter moved Apollo 4 to the pad in, what was it, 1960, what was Apollo 4, 67? EJ said that without even looking at a fact sheet. The fact sheet's up here. It's under my awesome NSF Live hat. There, that's about as close to a merch plug as you're going to get from me, Chris. That's all I'm saying. CT is already in the VAB. Well, tomato. Rick, 63 here, watched Armstrong on the moon on black and white TV with tinfoil on the antenna. Rick, we should bring back rabbit ears. Just saying. That's awesome. That's cool, man. I'm jelly that you got to see that. Aren't they going further away from Earth than any human ever? No. Artemis 2 is going pretty far, but the furthest that humans have been from the moon, I do believe, was on Apollo 10. I think it was Apollo 10. So that Apollo 10 was John Young, Gene Cernan. Oh crap! Who was the third? Here's my nerd card. You can revoke it. I do believe Apollo 10 was the furthest. No, it was 13. 13 went further. Sorry, I had to check the fact sheet. 13 went further. So Apollo 13 was Jim Lovell, Fred Hayes, and Jack Swigert. They didn't land, but that's another story. Yeah, 10 was the second fastest. That's right.
Hey, EJ.
What's up, Jay?
So, quickly come back to CT2.
Yeah.
Someone we know got to go hang out with CT2.
Who? Are you gonna Sawyer flex me by proxy here or something? Oh no, it's that nerd. Yeah, he's pretty cool. All right, cool. I didn't know. I want to make sure this had audio, but yeah, there's Das right there, the Sultan of NSF, the king of streams, the Colossus of Clout, the great Das Bino. Yeah, he got to go hang around with the crawler transporters, and I'm not jealous. I'm not bitter about that. Whatever. Yeah, I'm not bitter about that. It's fine. It's fine. It's going to be further? You think so, P3? I thought they said that the paraloon for this mission is going to be what did they say the paraloon would be? Give me 1 second. I'm looking in the press kit. 4,600 mile. 4,600. I mean, I don't know if they're talking about statute miles or not. The 4,600 mile paraloon. So what does that mean, guys? So how far people go? The furthest people have been in space. I don't know about you guys, but I use paraloon as a denomination for that. So paraloon is the closest point approach around the moon when you're either in orbit or passing the moon. A 4,600 mile paraloon. Yeah, I do believe 13 was way more than that. 13 Paraloon was 254 kilometers. Really? Dude, no wonder that's the furthest mission, man. So my mind is going into phasing and ejection angles. Chill, right? If Apollo 13 was the furthest that people have been from space, and their Paraloon was 254 kilometers, that's wow, that trajectory is a doozy. That's really fast. Basically, they free returned around the moon, but they free returned with a close approach, which means you're going really fast, which does corroborate with what we said a little bit earlier. How many SPMTs would it take to match the carrying capacity of a crawler transporter? Well, that's kind of hard to say because you can hook up a bunch of SPMTs. You can hook them all together. With that being said, probably a lot. Probably a lot. I mean, well, we know an SPMT can move like super heavy, like two lines of like 4 SPMTs can move super heavy, and super heavy is 300 tons, give or take. I think the Block 3 ones are a little bit lighter than that. And the transport stool's got no spring chicken, right? That's a lot. So, I mean, that's I think that's 2 rows of 4 SPMTs. I mean, there's tank watchers here that'll know this better than me. You'd probably need a lot more than that. I mean, like I said, the launch umbilical tower with SLS fully stacked on it. And keep in mind, the solid rocket boosters are fueled. They're fully fueled, so they are insanely heavy. I think it's like, what was it, 2,500 tons a segment? They're ridiculously heavy. Like, you don't realize how heavy one of those segments are. And there's 5 of them on each booster, so there's 10 segments total. The crawler transporter can move upwards of 16 million pounds, which is, like I said, I think that's 7.2 million kilos. That's, you'd need a lot. I would say probably 30 or 40 SPMTs easily. Like, if we're talking about the little segments, like you hook them up, you'd need a good amount. Dude. I mean, we could do the napkin math if you want. Gabriel, what would I name the first Starship mission? Oh. Spaceballs, the Starship mission. Yep. That's what I'd name it. I think we could hook that up. We know people, right? Jay, do we know people? We know people.
We know people.
So actually, Sawyer's telling me in the back channel, who's not here. No, it's because he's actually there, gonna cover the rollout. That's why he's not here. He said that this is the furthest. This is the furthest that people will go. But Apollo 13 was the fastest, which is crazy. Is it just me today? It's just me today, Space Fan. We're sitting here talking about Artemis 2. We got to roll out tomorrow, and then, dude, less than a month. We got a lunar mission. Can you believe that? Actually, Lighthugger, that was a good super chat there. $10 super chat. Or $10. Is that dollary dues? Yeah, it is. NSF, how realistic is the launch happening in February? Okay, so I don't mean to give you a non-answer, dude, but it is entirely dependent on how good the wet dress rehearsal goes. Now, personally, I think the wet dress rehearsal, so basically all the testing operations that they do with the vehicle on the pad before they actually go to launch it, if those go well on the first try, February, very, very doable. Very doable. Yeah, that's absolutely a thing. Anyway, I suppose while I'm here, I'll go through the rest of the support here. So, Mr. Gamer IO, we got a $10 super chat. When we go back to the moon, we will have an unlimited supply of cheese for cheesecake. Yeah, we will. The Space Pope, $20 super chat. Why am I hearing about the Pope vent removal now? That should have been a breaking news direct message to you. removal? I thought they were testing it. I don't know. I don't know why you did. Did you get the memo? Did you get that memo? We have Mr. Gamer IO again with $10. I guess it depends on what type of cheese. I was about to say that, dude, but then I saw the second super chat. I'm just saying. $10 super chat. You were right, EJ. Stay positive and safe. Dude, look, as much as this is engineering. This is precise peak engineering. Humans at their peak performance, sending people to the moon. I do very much believe in superstition here. It's just, I don't know, man. I don't feel like tempting fate when you have a rocket that if it popped, it would be the equivalent of a low yield nuclear blast. And the fact that 4 people are sitting on top of it, I don't think we should tempt fate. Only good vibes from here on out, dude. That's yeah. Don't be that guy, We got John Conscious, Mr. Coffee, gifted a Red Team membership. Thank you very much. And then he did, and another one. 1 Red Team membership. 2 Red Team memberships. Wait, Jay, can we get sued for that? Or DMCA'd at the word? Yeah, whatever. We'll send it. We'll put it out into the void to see it comes back. Drunar, what's going on? Hey, what about that heat shield? I'm not doing it. Don't do that. Don't do it. And then we got a $20 super chat from Sailing 7523. Artemis 2 launch window is smaller than Artemis 1 because they're flying a different profile for entry. Exactly. That's what I was saying. The entry corridor really matters. That's a big one. It's a big constriction on mission launch criteria. The more the window goes, the more it will need more delta V, and that means more heat for the heat shield. That's what they want to avoid. Yeah, exactly. I was talking about that a second ago. That's exactly right. It's not necessarily about being able to see the far side of the moon, even though I kind of you ideally want that. You want to have your cheesecake and eat it too. But it's very much about launch and landing conditions. Those are going to be the primary drivers about when this thing goes. That's absolutely right. Sound like that's correct. Yeah, you're right on. Anyway, good stuff. Good stuff. That's crew checkout right there. This is basically where they do not final suit leak checks. There'll be an additional leak check inside of the capsule, but they're basically making sure that there's no holes in the spacesuits there. That would be bad. We don't want that. What did they do to Marvin? It's a stubby boom now. Yeah, don't worry. He's just got a haircut or something. EJ, SLS or Ares 1? I do like Ares 1, Starman, but I will opt for super heavy lift any day of the week. Give me an SLS if I have to choose. Kid, Apollo 17 landed on the moon on your 14th birthday. Oh man, I'm jelly that you got to see that. That's pretty cool. But hey, we'll get something like that soon. Laser Tech gifted 10 Red Team memberships. Thank you very much. Right on. That's cool. Thank you very much. We appreciate the support here, guys. I'm standing on the shoulders of giants over here, If all targets are met, when do you think Artemis 3 is? Oh, Jason, that's the doozy of a question now, isn't it? Let's think about this. I would pencil in Artemis 2 for late 2027. Or Artemis 3, excuse me. If Artemis 2 goes well. My brain worked faster than my mouth did there. Sorry, that happens in broadcasting sometimes. I would say late 2027, early 2028 for Artemis 3 if everything goes perfect with this. Because you got to remember, it's not just about putting another SLS in the VAB, putting another SLS on the pad. The Artemis 3, guys, the Artemis 3 mission is the first lunar landing that will be using a commercial lander application. So they're going to be using SpaceX with their Starship human landing system. Right? The Starship program, I still think needs a little more time in the oven to cook, right? SpaceX really needs to get Block 3 up and running. I think it's doable for them to be able to get it done, get that lander done by late 2027, early 2028. That's a lot of work though, dudes. Let's be real. That's a lot of work. But here's the thing, dude. You have to have something to scale to. You know, if they just said Artemis 3 is whenever the lander is ready, that could take, who knows how long that's going to take. But if we say that Artemis 3 is early 2028, so about 2 years from right now, that gives SpaceX a deadline to scale to. And they'll do the work, man. There ain't no doubt in my mind. And to be honest with you, I think Blue Origin's waiting in the back going, hey, you know, we're working on the lander too. We'll have that done. We'll have that done real soon. I'm just saying, dude. Just saying. You know, like Jared Isaacman the other day actually did meet with SpaceX and Blue, the two commercial lunar lander contracts that NASA has with their commercial partners, about expedited timelines. So I'm thinking late 2027, early 2028, set that as your goal for getting that SLS stack ready to go and crew ready to go, and then have commercial scale to that date. I think that would be a good thing. There's a lot of things in play here, right? SpaceX with refueling, Starship with reusability, right? There's a lot of stuff in play. It's not just about building another rocket and sending it like the Apollo program, right? You know, if NASA decided to go with Blue Moon Mark II based off of what they saw with Mark 1, right? Or a modified Mark 1 with people on board or something. You know, now we're working with New Glenn. Now you got to work around New Glenn constrictions. It's not just one rocket. You're adding 2 to 3 to 4 rockets to the mix here. Multiple launches of New Glens, right? For refueling, et cetera, et cetera. Or maybe, you know, New Glenn 9x4 is ready by then and they can send it in one shot and have SLS rendezvous with it. Right? There's a lot of different concept of operations here that you can go through. And I think all of these pathways are super viable by 2028. I don't know about you guys. What do you think? But it really matters, like, setting a deadline for the Artemis 3 stack to be like 100% good to go. And I think that's the datum that you need, and then have commercial scale to it. If I was a fly on the wall in that Jared Isaacman meeting with SpaceX and Blue Origin about expedited lunar operations, I'll bet you they talked about stuff like that. Setting the concept of operations for both landers around a solid deadline is a really smart move. That's a really good thing to do. Now, once again, I don't know for sure if they did this, and it's easier said than done, right? But I think that would be a smart decision. So Need Pizza's telling me that they were testing the Pad B OLM vent and the Pad A Pope vent got removed. Oh gosh, Space Pope, they were right. Oh no. So I got a question coming over from Twitch chat. How many Apollo astronauts are still around to watch Artemis 2? Buzz Aldrin's still around. Harrison Schmitt is still around. Charlie Duke is still around. There's one more. Dave Scott, I think. We got a good, like, for almost 60 years out, there's still a good amount of them left. Dude, as a spaceflight nutcase, I really hope we get a landing while some of them are still here. I don't know about you guys. That's just something we got to do that. We got to do it. One of them has to see that the torch was passed. You know what I mean? There are 5. Who's the one that I missed, J-Volt? Starship has a lot to prove in a short time frame. No doubt. Or SpaceX has to put their foot on the gas. That's why I think this lull that we're seeing between Flight 11 and Flight 12 is not so much, them just, oh, we got to get Block 3 working. We got to get Block 3. I do believe this is the calm before the storm. I think Block 3 solves all the mitigated problems that they had with Block 2, and the floodgates are going to open. They didn't build a gigantic factory down at Starbase to do one launch every couple of months. You know what I mean? Fred Hayes is still around. Cool. So I got what did I get? I got 3. I got 4 out of 5. That's pretty good. BR8801, what's up, man? What are you talking? Let's see. For the first human Artemis landing, do you think they should target one of the Apollo landing sites to A, demonstrate the capability of pinpoint landings, and B, debunk the conspiracies to say that we never went. BR, personally, dude, I don't think giving conspiracy theorists the time of day is the right move. I prefer not to debate like that, but to educate. You know what I mean? I think that a landing, I mean, I'm not sure if a landing would shut them up, to be 100% honest. However, I think that landing at an Apollo landing site would be pretty cool. With that being said, I do believe they're targeting the Shackleton crater or somewhere around that on the lunar South Pole. The reason why is because the DSN, I was going to say the reason why they want to do that is because that's where they want to build the moon base, because that's where water is. But that's also the reason for Gateway's orbit. Gateway is in that weird rectilinear halo orbit, so it spends like 80% of its orbital period in line of sight of the South Pole, so it can work as a communications relay. Gateway is also the communications relay in the Artemis architecture. But for Artemis 3, they won't have it. So, I mean, like I said, if it was up to me, I would go right to Taurus Littrow, land right where we left. Seriously, I would do that. Or at least do a lunar landing demonstration there. That would be pretty cool. I don't think we should go to the Apollo 11 launch site, dude, to be 100% on it. That should just stay where it is. But Apollo 17, land some people down there. Change the batteries in the LRV. See if it works. See if it drives around. I'm serious. I think that would be an awesome thing to do. What did you call my orbit? Don't worry about it. If you have to ask, you probably don't know what it is. Wait, what is this? Predominant with 1,000 yen, $6.32. Seriously, we've got an Artemis 2 launch in less than a month. We've had 3 Atlas pass by. Can we confirm or deny the presence of extraterrestre Blanco? Oh no, my stream is leaking into the NSF stream. Sorry about that, guys. Oh no. Thanks for the support, man. Jeez, that should totally work. I hope they left the keys. Yeah, right. Well, it's the LRVs were made by General Motors. I'm sure they could just go over there and get a new key made, right? Like, right? What? I mean, why do they even have keys? What's someone going to do? Steal it? I mean, you never know. Chris, EJ, not being political, but the president and Jared did give NASA a goal and a deadline. I believe Artemis 3 will happen sooner rather than later. Chris, I think giving a deadline is the right move. I mean, I understand that, half of you guys love the guy, half of you guys hate it. Like, I get it. I'm not trying to get political on here. That's not fun. But I will say that in terms of like how the ecosystem in which NASA exists, where the executive branch of the United States denotes NASA's goals, and then those goals are signed into law and funded by Congress, setting deadlines really makes the whole system work. It makes the whole thing work. A deadline enforces accountability. You've been issued a challenge. You don't want to let the president, I mean, somebody probably does, but that's, once again, we won't get too far into the weeds there. Good vibes, remember? Don't cross the streams. I'm not crossing the streams. They're trying to cross the streams. Should have even read that tip message. Dang. Anyway, Jay, how am I doing? Am I doing all right, man? Wait for it.
You're doing great, AJ.
All right. Thanks, Dad.
You're welcome.
Oh, dear. Anyway, guys, yeah, no, great questions. Keep them coming, dudes. Keep them coming. So once again, guys, just for the quick background, if you're tuning in for Flame Trench and you're like, oh, there's that weird dude. Where's the other weird people that are here? It's just me tonight. Everybody else had better things to do. I called in sick for 1 week, and this is what happens? I come back, no one's here. Am I being punked? Ashton! What?
We have a term for those people at NSF.
Oh yeah,
We call them abandoners.
abandoners.
Yeah.
So are my competent cohort of co-hosts, are they now abandoners too?
I think they are.
Ooh-wee.
We'll let them know.
What did you say? What was that last part?
I said we'll let them know.
All right, cool. Yeah, no, that's good. Wait, but what did I mean, I was sick last week. That's the dude, guys, I couldn't talk. I got that flu that was going around, and I tried to I don't know, maybe 2 hours before last week's Flame Trench, I was trying to stream, and I ended up sounded like Jabba the Hutt. I was like, so I was like, that's probably not going to jive well in a podcast environment, Anyway, Jay, how about we look through this press kit a little bit more? Let's see. I'm trying to see. There's crew information there, which is pretty cool. I would go through the crew information about Jeremy, Victor, Christina, and Reed. But every time I read astronaut biographies about what they've accomplished before they became an astronaut, I always just feel really bad about myself. I don't know about you guys. They canceled Flame Trench. They forgot to tell me, dude. I'm being punked, which I'm convinced. I'm convinced. Yeah, over in the Twitch chat, Gateway can also serve as a good limited lag teleoperation center as opposed to working around a 2-second delay. They could probably manually drive rovers and even pilot humanoid robots with a VR rig from the Gateway. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's a communications relay too, on top of being a little space station. I don't think Gateway is the worst idea, Aqualux. I really don't. But we should put it out there. Like the fact that we're going to send people to the surface with it not being there kind of defeats the point of all the benefits of it. It has to kind of be there. Trathan, hey Jay, I don't know if you'll see this, but I'm making a 1/10 scale Falcon 9 rocket, and on top of that, I'm making an Angara A5 at 1/7 scale. Nice, Trathan, that's cool. Are you 3D printing or what? Eddie White gifted a Red Team membership. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. I hope you feel better from being sick. Gray, I'm good to go. I'm fine. The two things that keep me away from the internet are, if I can't talk, right, and a headache. You can't stream with a headache. Dude, it just doesn't work because you have to manage a lot of things going on. Like I'm watching the chats. I'm watching Jay. We're going from there. Yeah. Speaking of that, I think we should go to talking about Countdown, Jay. That's fine with me. All right, let's see. What do we got here? So the countdown timeline. I'm going to read about this, guys, real quick. So L- indicates the time leading up to liftoff. Well, T- time is a sequence of events built into the launch countdown, indicating the terminal clock. Both are expressed in hours and minutes. There are a series of holds built into the count to allow the launch team to target a precise launch window and provide a cushion of time for certain tasks without impacting the overall schedule. If you want to know why planned holds happen, there you go. There's your definition. So the launch campaign, and keep in mind, this will all happen maybe in about a month, 3 weeks to a month, maybe. That really depends on how well the test campaign for the rocket goes once they get it out to the pad. But the launch schedule begins at L- 49 hours and 15 minutes. Oh, man. Chris, how long is that? How long is that stakeout stream going to be? Should we do a 50-hour stream? We should. I think we should. That'd be great. That'd be lovely.
I think we should.
Really? Dude, I was expecting no's. Let's do it, man.
Dog for 50 hours.
Dude. Me and Das could do that. We could hook that. Me, Das, and Sawyer, we could hook that up. You get D and Max in here. We could hook that up. We could make that happen. Positive vibes. Positive vibes, right? Shrubbery, I should have Jack on right now as a guest because nobody can stop you. So 2 parts to that question. Who's Jack? Second part of that question, he's busy. He's on an airplane right now. whatever, bro. We'll start with STS-1 and go from there. Yeah. Because like I can do it. All right. So L minus 49 hours and 15 minutes. Launch team arrives at their stations and countdown begins. The countdown clock begins at launch minus 48 hours, 40 minutes. The water tanks for the sound suppression system are loaded at 47 hours and 30 minutes. And then tanking begins at 48:45. Yeah, so SLS is not using load and go. They're going to fill up the vehicle, or tanking. They're going to fill up the vehicle with commodities well before anybody gets near this thing. And the vehicle will stay in what's called a top-off mode for the rest of the count. The Orion spacecraft is powered up, if not already powered, at call to stations at minus 44 hours, 30 minutes. Core stage is powered up at L minus 39:30. That's very interesting to me that they tank the first stage before they turn it on. That's strange.
I think that might just be a weird wording, whereas like they're preparing the sort of valves and things versus actually flowing fluids.
I mean, it does say preparations for vehicle loading up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. All right. So core stage is powered on. The ICPS, which is the third stage, is powered up. Final preparations for the 4 hours 25 engines at L minus 38 hours 45 minutes. From there, at 34 hour 30 minutes, the ICPS is powered down. Question? Charge Orion flight batteries to 100%. Charge core stage flight batteries. The ICPS is powered up for launch. Huh. I wonder why they're doing that. We need Phil Sloss here. Dude, Phil Sloss is going to be on the rollout stream tomorrow, guys, if I'm remembering correctly. So, yeah, you'll get plenty of good facts. I'm actually going to ask him this a little bit later. I'll be like, why do they do that, man? Because he'll know the details. He's the guy. The goated SLS reporter right there. All right, so what else do we got? Orion crew suit regulator leak checks at L minus 18 hours. Okay. Launch minus 15 hours and counting. All non-essential personnel leave Launch Complex 39B. Ground launch sequencer, GLS activation. Air to gaseous nitrogen GN2 changeover and vehicle cavity inerting. Okay, vehicle cavity inerting is basically anything that's kind of enclosed that's not a fuel or oxidizer tank gets purged out with nitrogen. The reason why they do that, that's the intertank, the structural carrier that's between the core stage liquid oxygen tank and liquid hydrogen tank, and the main propulsion system, the MPS. So that's down where the four engines are, the four shuttle motors. Well, shuttle motors. They are shuttle motors, but they're not, but they are. They purge those out with nitrogen because if there is a hydrogen leak, the nitrogen it'll snuff it out. Basically, it'll displace the hydrogen away from vehicle cavities. So you don't want hydrogen pooling inside of the vehicle. This is what they encountered a lot during the Artemis 1 campaign. Hydrogen is really hard to keep as a liquid, guys. Just I've figured now is a good time to mention it. Liquid hydrogen is really hard to keep out of liquid. The temperatures in which hydrogen exists as a liquid is a very narrow gap, and it's very close to absolute zero Kelvin. So what that means in plain English is that the hydrogen is superbly cold, and it's very easy to get it to turn into a gas, right? And if it turns into a gas, hydrogen gas is extraordinarily small. It's like, I mean, it's tiny. It makes a grain of sand look like Mount Everest. Because of this, because it's such a gaseous hydrogen is so small, it leaks everywhere. That's the problems that they had with Artemis 1. Now, like I said, unless you have to purge out certain vehicle cavities on the vehicle, so because you don't want hydrogen pooling there, it'll leak and then it'll stay there. You want to have positive pressure inside of the inner tank, the MPS, the inner stage. You want to purge them out with nitrogen. So if hydrogen does leak in there, it just gets displaced out of the vehicle. Because if it pools, it'll find a source of ignition. That's the other thing about hydrogen. Hydrogen burns very efficiently. And there's a lot of things on the launch pad that can make it burn very efficiently. So what they do is they purge, like I said, vehicle cavity inerting, and they also have a recirculation system, which is also what leaked during Artemis 1 on the tail surface mass ground umbilical carrier plate, the T1 carrier umbilical plate, if I'm remembering right, the hydrogen plate. Their recirculation mechanism was leaking because they didn't seat an O-ring correctly or something. Now, once again, people say O-rings and people are like, no, don't worry, it's hydrogen. It's a pain in the butt. That thing has to be perfect, like micrometer perfect, or else it's going to leak. But like I said, that's what you got to worry about with hydrogen. And that's why some rockets that are using liquid hydrogen or liquefied natural gas or methane will have a birthday candle on the pad. It'll have what's called a purge. It's a purge flame or a flare, right? If it was methane, it'd be igniting the flare, right? Yeah, that thing. SpaceX doesn't use those because they have a recirculator for Starship that recondenses their scavenged gases. Just FYI, that's why Starship doesn't have one of those. But like Vulcan has it. New Glenn has 2 of them, one for LNG, one for hydrogen. SLS will have one for hydrogen as well. That's the recirculator system. The idea is to, have a pilot light, basically like what you have on your stove, right? If you have a gas range in your house or apartment, right? You turn it on, it goes and it makes the flame. Same idea. If you give it a hydrogen a place to burn, it'll pull everything towards it and it'll get it away from the vehicle. You don't want gaseous hydrogen or what's called hazardous gases around the vehicle. That is also what a ground umbilical carrier plate does on the space shuttle and on SLS. I know that's a big thing here. You guys love that thing, right? That's what it does. It's a has gas umbilical. Space Popes gifting subs on both streams, dude. Oh my goodness. Thank you for all the support, guys. So yeah, the cavity inerting and hydrogen purging out with the flame is really, really important to make sure the vehicle doesn't blow up. You don't want that. Because like the rule of thumb is that if you don't give hydrogen a place to blow up, it'll find a place to blow up, and it's probably not where you want it to be. That's why stuff like the GUP exists, ground umbilical carrier plate. It was the HAZGAS purge line for the hydrogen tank on the external tank for the shuttle and the core stage for SLS. All right. Whew. Didn't think that explanation would be that long. Sorry about it. Sorry about that. We're still going through the SLS countdown, all right? I think that's what we're doing. It's right behind me, isn't it? Yeah. All right. Let me just plow through support here, and we'll get to the next milestone, L minus 11 hours and 40 minutes. So we got J Lake 221. Hey, J, I live near Philly, and I want to go to a museum to see a shuttle. Should I go to Intrepid or the Smithsonian? Which one is cooler? Oh, I love our friends over at Intrepid, J Lake, but see the one that flew into space. I love Intrepid and I love Enterprise. But if you're in Philly, I'd say go to the Smithsonian. I mean, ¿por qué no los dos? Why not both, dude? You're not that far from either one. That's all I'm saying. You could live up in the Northeast like me and not have anything near you except New York, but I don't want to go to New York. I don't want to go there. I'm from Boston. I don't like them. No, I'm just kidding. Intrepid's awesome. We love our friends over at Intrepid. We do a lot of work with them over there. Good people. And their Enterprise exhibit is frankly amazing. It's really, really good. You should go see that at some point. But sorry, I would say go see Discovery. And somewhere Das was like typing on a keyboard, and he's just like. And then Elise is watching this going, dude. So don't hate me. I'm sorry. Rocket Scientist 1, EJ, you're doing great. Thank you with a $20 tip. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Bideford, $50 super chat. What's going on? I'm the only one here. It's just me. When are we getting margaritas? Let's go. Thank you for holding down the fort tonight. This is for you. FYI, no margaritas tonight. You're not in the mood, but looking forward to rollout tomorrow. Oh, come on. It's Friday. Come on. I'll go crack a brew. I'll do it right now. I'll do it right in front of stream. Maybe we shouldn't do that. I would though. If it was my stream, I'd be like, shotgun, whoosh, drink responsibly. All right, let's keep going. Space Pope with 10 Red Team memberships and then 5 subscriptions over on the Twitch side of things from my end. Thank you very much, Space Pope. Love you, pal. You're awesome. Fozilla with 5 Red Team memberships as well. Thank you so much. And then we had Devin Waldron with 10 Red Teams. Thank you. Thank you, guys. I appreciate all the support. You guys are awesome. Starman, could we have chat as your competent cohort of co-hosts? Yeah. I mean, you're here. You exist. You're having marks tomorrow, outdoorsman? All right, that's fine. That's fine. This isn't the Off Nominal podcast. I mean, Eric, yeah, it's not the Off Nominal podcast, but if you look up Off Nominal in the dictionary, you're going to see my name. So is it or isn't? I don't know. Schrodinger's podcast. You're not making Chris nervous. That's my job. That's my job, Starman. That's my job. I'll just poke and prod to see what you can get away with. Like I said, Das is probably watching this going, oh my God, why did we hire this guy? Yeah, that's right. What's up, man? Okay, back to the timeline. Back to the timeline. Let's do it. All right, Jay swashed me, so we got to do it now. All right, so L-minus 11 hours, 40 minutes in counting. 2 hour and 15 minute built-in hold. Built-in countdown begins. Launch team conducts a weather and tanking briefing. Launch team decides if they are go or no-go to begin tanking the rocket at L-minus 10 hours and 20 minutes. Okay, cool. Core stage, LOX transfer line chill down, and then the hydrogen chill down right after that, and then Orion cold soak. Interesting. Foz gifted 5 subs over on Twitch. Thank you very much. All right. So, LOX transfer line chill down. So here's the thing, guys. When you're dealing with cryogenic commodities, so cryogenic commodities are really space cool industry way of saying stuff that's really cold that goes in the rocket to make explosions. Fair? All right. So when you're dealing with cryogenic commodities with a rocket, hey, SARS Navy with a prime sub over on Twitch and then a gifted sub too. Thanks, buddy. So when you're dealing with cold commodities going into the vehicle, you have to make sure that the lines that go to the vehicle, the chill down, the transfer lines, you have to make sure that those are cold as well. If they're not cold, you're going to flow cold propellant into a warm pipe because it's in Florida and it's going to evaporate. What happens? We know what happens with hydrogen when it evaporates. That's the whole, leaking thing and an explosion thing. We don't want that. Liquid oxygen, it doesn't happen as much, but see, the thing about liquid oxygen is it won't leak out. If you pump hot liquid oxygen through, or cold liquid oxygen through a hot pipe, it's actually going to pressurize the pipe and it'll turn into a geyser. If you live somewhere where it's cold, basically frozen pipes, but like even worse. Yeah, like it'll pressurize and it'll create a LOX geyser. That's why during some countdowns, you hear like if you're watching SpaceX or Blue Origin or something, you hear anti-geysering call, or Rocket Lab anti-geysering disabled. That's what that's for. You don't want you have to make sure that all the lines going to the vehicle are thermally conditioned correctly. Now, once again, SpaceX does that. They do that really quick. They figured out a way to do it really fast with Starship because that thing, they want to launch that thing a lot. Man, the Twitch stream's going off with gift subs. Thank you so much, guys. But yeah, SLS needs to do it too. It's really important to do that. And then the Orion cold soak, I believe, is the HVAC systems, the payload environmental control systems for Orion. Basically, they're going to run an air conditioner to Orion and make it cold because where it's going, is cold. It's not. It's a vacuum. It's the absence of heat. It's not cold. I know that. Just don't type it. I know someone's going to actually me. I know. No, they want to get it cool down because that's probably where its operating temperatures, the internal operating temperatures would be on the spacecraft during mission operations. So we're at L-minus 10 hours. Okay, let's see. The EJ Dictionary of Rocket Terms, that would be an interesting read. Yeah, I'm known to make up good terms from time to time. All right, so L minus 10 hours and counting. Core stage locks, main propulsion system chill down. So once again, once the commodity lines going to the vehicle are chilled, the MPS, you need to chill down the main propulsion system because they fuel through the engine section. That's the white section at the bottom of the core stage with the 4 engines. You fuel through that. So they got to chill those lines down. And those lines go to your fuel and oxidizer tanks. So once again, MPS, that's the part where the engines are. Main propulsion system is the term for it. Core stage LH2 slow fill. There you go. Slow fill. You have to do that with liquid hydrogen for the exact the evaporative reasons that I'm talking about, guys. Like once again, you flow hydrogen through something that's warm. If hydrogen changes its temperature, if liquid hydrogen has a temperature change of even like 5 Kelvin, it'll evaporate. It will, and it'd always be up. You always go up. Trying to get hydrogen even colder than liquid state is not something we've figured out how to do really well. But maybe, who knows? Maybe solid hydrogen SRBs in the future. No, I mean, maybe. I don't know. Good vibes, right? So once again, hydrogen, in order for hydrogen to exist as a liquid, it has to be right near like 0 Kelvin. So it's above like minus 300 C. It's really, really, really cold. And if it moves even a little bit into the minus 200s or, even a 5 degree change, it'll evaporate. So what they do is they slowly start pushing the propellants into the vehicle to make sure that they bring the temperature down slowly. Because if they try to do it fast, it's going to evaporate. That is once again, that's thermal conditioning with hydrogen. It's a pain in the butt. But the thing about hydrogen is that it's very efficient. It's a really efficient propellant. It has really good energy density. So it's not the most reactive explosion, but it's hard to handle, but you get the best performance out of it in terms of specific impulse for the nerds. All right. So they're going to resume the clock at T minus 8 hours and 10 minutes, L minus 9 hour 20. Core stage lock, slow fill. Same thing with the liquid oxygen. You're slow filling it, not because it's going to leak, but because it could geyser and it could overpressurize a pipe and blow it up. Don't want that. And then once the lines during slow fill are at the right temperatures, they start fast filling. When the line is already cold and you're confident that you can move hydrogen through the thing quickly, start topping, start going. That's at L minus 9 hours and then L minus 8 hours and 55 minutes. At L minus 8 hours and 40 minutes, crew wake up, launch countdown, status check. Dude, Space Pope with 20 subs over on Twitch. Jeepers creepers. Now, same thing happens right after that. Right after the crew wake up, we have ICPS LH2 chill down, and then that's the same thing. You got to make sure that the thing is cold before you start moving those propellants in, or else it'll leak. Right? The interim cryogenic propulsion stage is what's on top of the core stage with Orion on it. That is also using hydrogen and oxygen. You have to do the same thing for that. Now, why would they fill up the core stage first? Why would they do core stage first? I don't know. It's at the bottom of the vehicle. And then the ICPS is on top. What are you gonna do? Fuel the Starship before you fuel the Super Heavy? Who would do that, right? Am I right? SpaceX does do that, but that's for a different reason. Remember, different propellants, but you get the idea. So after the LH2 lines on the ICPS are chilled down, then they go into fast fill, and then they do core stage LH2 topping and then replenish. All right. So Fur's gifted 20 over on Twitch. Fur's, and thanks, buddy. All right. So after that, when the core stage will get topped off at L minus 7 hours, 40 minutes. When it gets topped off, you can't just, it's like, oh, it's full of fuel. We're good to go. All right, just leave it there. No, not a good idea. Remember, I said hydrogen is really, really cold, right? Because it's so cold and it's at pressure inside of that tank, it boils. So does liquid oxygen. So they have to top it off, fill up the tank. So they got to kind of go into slow fill to make sure that the tank is fully topped off. and then they go into a replenishment mode right after that. The replenishment mode makes it, remember I said they have those hydrogen circulation systems. Hydrogen likes to leak, but it also boils. So you got to give the hydrogen, that gaseous hydrogen, a place to go, because that's just going to happen anyway. Because the propellants, your fully cryogenic propellants boil. Yeah, liquid oxygen, cold at pressure, it boils. It's weird, right? And liquid hydrogen too. Liquid hydrogen is even colder than liquid oxygen, right? So they go into a replenish and topping mode to make sure that the core stage, if you just left it there, it would just boil off all the propellants inside and then they would leak out. Right? They put it into replenishment mode, which has the propellants boiling off. The gaseous hydrogen goes out the purge flame, and then they're just slow filling it from the tank structure or from the tank farm. Replenishment is really important to make sure that it has a full tank of gas when you go to take off. You probably want that. You probably don't want it to be empty. That would be bad. All right. So after that, at L minus 7 hours, 25 minutes, you have the LH2 vent and relief test. ICPS LH2 vent and relief test. I'm not too familiar why the ICPS has an LH2 vent. I'd have to ask Phil about that one. But after that, you have LH2 topping start on the upper stage, and then they go into replenishment. Same exact thing as the core stage, but they go into replenishment at L minus 60 hours 50 minutes. At L minus 6 hours and 10 minutes, the Orion's communication systems are activated. Orion does have its own antennas on it. It has a short band. It has a short band on it. I mean, amongst other things, there are other antennas on it, but you want to make sure that you can talk to the capsule. They do that with Dragon too. When we watch the commercial crew launches with Dragon to the space station, right? If you're a nerd and you watch the whole countdown like I do, like I watch them eat breakfast if they stream that, but astronaut mukbang streams, NASA, just saying. I'm just saying, it's an idea, it's a vibe, it'll work. No, I watch the whole thing. They do communications checks with Dragon. They communicate through the ground loop, through the tracking loop, which is, the tracking antennas, and then they communicate through TDRS. And when they turn on Orion's communication systems, they're probably going to do something similar, but that's when crew gets on. So they're just going to turn the antennas on at 6 hours and 10 minutes. Okay, to finish up this step here, we have core stage liquid oxygen topping, same exact thing. You have to just replenish it because the propellants will boil off. And then ICPS locks main propulsion system chill down. See, that's very interesting. Jay, I mean, I know you're just producing there and you're doing a heck of a job. I really appreciate it. It's very strange, dude, that the beginning of this is, that's ICPS main propulsion chill down. Okay, cool. I was like, wait a minute. They chilled it down over there. Why would they chill it down again? No, okay. It's just that I have trouble reading. That's all. Cool. Never mind. Let's keep going. L minus 6 hours and counting. ICPS locks fast fill. Same thing. You have to start slow filling these things and then you fill them up faster. Flight crew weather briefing at L minus 6 hours. Core stage locks replenishment. There it is, L minus 5 hours 40. ICPS locks vent and relief test. See, I gotta ask Phil what those things are. Chat, do you guys know what that is? I'm a little bit out of my wheelhouse with the relief vents on the ICPS. I'm probably gonna have to go reapply for my nerd card soon. Rough launch date. The beginning of February right now. It's the first week of February. It really depends on how good the testing goes from post rollout. So we have ICPS topping, stage pad rescue. Yeah, see, some of these I'm not 100% sure. Closeout crew assembly at minus 5 hours and 40 minutes. So the closeout crew are the people that help the astronauts get into the vehicle. They're the last people that talk to the crew on the ground before they send it. Late stage abort testing, Rusty? Maybe. What's up, dude?
For the stage pad rescue, I wonder if that's staging the vehicle at the end of the quote-unquote zip line. The crew escape system.
Yeah, you're talking about the slide wire egress system.
Slide wire. Yeah, that's what I was thinking for. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
It's weird.
I mean, it's no doubt that those vehicles will be in place. I mean, the closeout, that's kind of the closeout crew there. But let's keep reading. Maybe it'll be self-explanatory when we go down a little bit further. Flight crew begins donning launch and entry spacesuits at L-5 hours 40 minutes. That's those leak checks that Jay was showing us where they were sitting in the recliner with the orange suits. That's that, man. And yeah, just some space flight terminology, glossary of terms thing going on here. Donning means putting the spacesuit on. Doffing means taking it off. They use a bunch of fancy smancy terms with their future rides, spaceman. Okay, so ICPS locks replenish at 4 hour 40 minutes. All stages move into replenishment mode at 4 hours and 40 once ICPS is good. And then start the 40-minute built-in hold at 4 hours 40 minutes. Get Alex on. That's what I'm saying, man. I'm like, where is he? Alex would love this. But it's fine. It's fine. I'll just hold down the fort by myself. It's good. It's like they all called in sick and I'm the only one working on the grill tonight. I'm serving you up knowledge, all right? Dang.
So that's part of the countdowns where we're starting to get into the new things that are just Artemis 2.
Oh.
So the L-4 40 hold. I don't believe we had that for Artemis 1.
Yeah. 440 is a good number. It's a good engine. But yes, you don't know what that means, do you?
I don't. No, just agree with you.
All right, that's fine. You can agree. That's cool. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, they start the 40-minute built-in hold. Yeah, Charlie Blackwell Thompson was talking about this in the press conference from this morning. This VOD is January 16, 2026. NASA had a rollout press conference this morning. And Charlie Blackwell Thompson, who is the launch director for this mission, she was talking about these new phases of the launch countdown. I understand holds, but why is it a 40-minute hold starting at 4 hours and 40 minutes? Seems like a lot. They put planned holds into the countdown, Logan. I can't speak to this specific point. I'd have to go see what Charlie said in that press conference again. I mean, I did cover it this morning, but sorry, I don't remember that off the top of my head. I have propane and propane accessories. Well, we're actually grilling with liquid hydrogen, with gaseous hydrogen because it's SLS, boy. Propane is good too, though. All right. I'd have to go back and look at the press conference. But yeah, planned holds are there to basically make sure, like, if something isn't working how you want, like if they have a hydrogen leak. If you just had a rigid countdown structure, right? If your T0 and L0 were the same the entire time and you had a hydrogen leak, what do? Your launch window has to be to the second with this launch. Remember, the moon has to be in the right place, right? Your launch window has to be very precise. So what do? Do you pause the count and then try to rush through the rest of the steps? No. You know what happens when you try to do rocket science too quickly. It usually results in an explosion, not the one that you want, right? So planned holds are built-in leeway into the system. Think about it like intermissions in a show, right? Just to make sure that, everything is good. And also that's time where we can go get popcorn. I've chosen the large tub. Sorry. All right. Back to the countdown. We're almost done. We're almost at an hour. All right. So closeout crew goes to the white room at L-4 hour 40 minutes. So the closeout crew, once again, those are the people that help the astronauts ingress. Once again, glossary of terms, ingress is going into a spacecraft. Egress is coming out of a spacecraft. The closeout crew will move to the white room. The white room is a clean room structure that is attached to the end of the crew access arm. The white room is there to make sure that no foreign contamination goes into the spacecraft. You don't want like a bird flying into the spaceship right before they launch. That would be awful. Can you imagine, like, oh, we got a squirrel in here. We got a squirrel in here. There's a gator in the payload bay. Like, we don't want that. So the white room is a clean room structure that maintains positive pressure. They actually pump air into it, and that's That's not the white room right there, Jay. That's going to it on the crew access arm. It's there it creates positive pressure to basically prevent anything from like dust or dirt or whatever from getting into the spacecraft. So closeout crew going to the white room is probably them going up there and making sure that everything is configured before you open up the hatch for Orion to get in there. Okay, the flight crew departs operations and checkout suit room at L-4 hour 40 minutes. Flight crew departs to complex 39B at 4 hour 30 minutes. Flight crew walkout at 4 hour and 4 hour 25 minutes. Orion preps for flight crew ingress. See, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, they go to the white room to make sure the capsule is ready to go, ready for astronaut ingress. Right? Okay, so flight crew goes to the white room at T-minus 4 hours and 20 minutes. The flight crew then puts on their helmets and gloves at T-minus 4 hours and 10 minutes. I'm not doing it. I'm not saying nothing. All right. Flight crew ingress, communications checks, and suit lead checks at -4 hours, L-3 hour 20. So they will, once they get into the spaceship, they're going to connect their suits into the environmental control and life support systems, or ECLIS, on Orion, and make sure the suits don't have any leaks. The reason why they do this, and I know if somebody has been paying attention, well, first of all, good for you, because I'm going pretty quickly here. But, you know, for those who've been paying attention, why would they do that? Because the crew dons the spacesuits there and they do leak checks in the O&C. Why do they need to do leak checks again when they're in the spacecraft? I don't know. Maybe the leak was developed. Maybe somebody snagged the spacesuit on part of the launch umbilical tower. Or maybe, I don't know. Maybe something isn't working. It's just a final check to make sure that nothing happened between operations and checkout and the ride to the pad. Once again, it's about being prepared. And, you know, I don't mean to sound like all corpo, but right, the best in spaceflight, the best defense is a good offense. It's better to be preemptive about this. You don't want to leave anything up to chance. So do that final leak check and make sure that it works. The white room closeout will be complete at -3 hours and 25 minutes. Crew module hatch preparations and closure from the closeout team, 3 hours, 20 minutes. Counterbalance mechanism hatch seal press decay checks. So they're going to close up the hatch, and just like with Dragon and Starliner as well, they're going to make sure that the hatch can close and you don't have any leaks. You don't want to encounter that when you're up in space. That I don't think I need to explain that one, but, you know, people need air to breathe, and if the spacecraft leaks, you won't have that. We don't want that, so they're going to make sure the hatch, the counterbalance mechanism hatch seals work correctly, and you don't have any leaks. All right, I'm just doing a quick check over chat. Yep. Chat check is confirmed. Okay, so actually, all right, one of my buddies, one of my viewers over on Twitch tells me about the relief valves. So the ICPS locks, vent, and relief test during countdown, occurring roughly 5 to 5.1 hours before launch, verifies proper venting and topping of the cryogenic fuel tanks, a crucial step to manage the super cold propellants. Okay, so it's just making sure their vent valves are working correctly, Goalie. I got it. Cool. All right. So the crew module hatch service panel install and closeout. So the hatch service panel is, I want to call it a fairing. It's the fairing for Orion, but I think a more apt way to say it would be that it's part of Orion's shroud for the launch abort system. Orion is riding inside of a fairing, and that fairing is attached to the rockets up at the top, which is basically your ejector seat if something goes wrong. You know, Jeb Kerbin forbid, right? So not only do they have to close the hatch, but they have to close the shroud right there. It's on that conic part of of the launch abort system. They have to close the hatch service panel. So they don't need to do leak checks on that, guys. But because it's not, the fairing isn't pressurized. You ideally don't want fairings to be pressurized. Or, you know, shrouds for launch vehicles. You don't want none of that to be pressurized. So they just close it and lock the door. From there, crew's in. That's it. You're in. And what's crazy to me is that the crew ingress is like 4 hours before the launch. Can you imagine? You just got to sit there for like 3.5 hours before you go to the moon. I know someone is going to ask, what if they have to go to the bathroom? They do that basically when they arrive at the launch site. Yeah. Because I know, like, the first thing that popped into my head was like, what if you have to go to the bathroom? Well, they go to the bathroom right when they get to the launch pad, just to make sure. Because from here on out, you're holding it until you get up into space. Orion does have a toilet. It has a toilet on board. I don't think I need to go into that any further. The toilet doesn't work during ascent operations. That sounds like it could get very messy. We don't want that. Does the crew board the capsule for the wet dress rehearsal? You know what, Nader? They changed the con ops for this, so I'm not 100% sure. Chat, do you know?
I believe the plan for wet dress is for the crew to not board the vehicle.
Yeah, I don't think they do, Nader. Yeah. They'll probably have the closeout crew there during the wet dress, if I had to guess, though. They do not board for the wet dress, just closeout crew. All right, there we go, Stealthy. Okay. Thank you. All right, cool. Yeah, also, just in case, guys, they have astronaut absorbency garments. Better to have it and not need it than need it not have it. That's all I'm saying. They're wearing diapers. Adult diapers. Just in case, dude. That'd make a mess real quick. I'd prefer to have it. I'd wear one, sure, absolutely. You know, you don't want to get caught with your pants down. I've been hanging around with Sawyer too much, haven't I? Crap. Okay. At L-1 hour and 40 minutes, the launch abort system hatch closer for the flight happens. Yeah, that's basically, like I was saying, that's making sure that making sure that the outer shroud is closed and ready to go. From there, we move to L-60 minutes and counting. Whoa! Hey, wait a minute. Before we get into that, I'm going to go through the support. We got Telstar 86 with a 5 pounds sterling super chat. Oh, thank you, old boy. Appreciate that one. Welcome to the EJ Trench, where all opinions and comments are spicy. Yes, we have a little bit of picante on our flame trench tonight. Yes. Telstar, I know you don't talk like that, but, you know, in my mind, this is my flame trench, dude. That's all I'm saying. We got Shazbert Toddbot with a $5 super chat. If I have to sit around for 4 hours, they better give me a gaming laptop. Maybe Orion has games. Hey, guys, you got any games on your Orion? That was funny for someone. I know it. All right. And then we got Hawaii Mike with a $100 super chat. Whoa. EJ, amazing job. Thanks, man. Right on. I'm trying, man. I actually wanted to go through all this, and I'll be 100% honest with you. If I wasn't doing Flame Trench right now, we would just be doing this on my stream. But yeah, no, it's fun. I'm happy to be here. I like this plan. I like this solo Flame Trench. I'm happy to be a part of it. Let's do it. All right. Jay, we're going to move back over to the countdown timeline. We're almost through it. We're almost through. All right. So at L-60 minutes, the launch director does a brief for the flight vehicle and TPS scan results with the CICE. Ooh, that CICE, I'm not sure what that is. Chat, help me out. Line. They're playing KSP while waiting. I don't know if that's a good idea, Nader, to be honest. Kerbal would be the last thing that I play when I'm like launching, being launched into space. Ask an Alex time. Yeah, Jay, I would like to use the Ask an Alex option. Oh, we're not doing that? Are we still doing that? We're not doing that anymore, huh?
Unfortunately, Ask an Alex is not available.
I mean, in the future, nothing works.
Right?
Out of order. All right. So I will get you a definition of that. So that's the console, imagery, coordination, and evaluation. Thanks, Ale. Console, imagery, coordination, and evaluation. So is that a really fancy way of saying they're going to look at the rocket and make sure that everything looks okay? I'm fairly confident that that is a really fun NASA way of saying, like, yeah, we're just going to take a step back and look at everything and make sure it looks right. Wait, you're Alex? Prove it. Prove it. I'm going to call him Ale from now on. All right. Ale. Hola. All right. That's definitely him, guys. That's definitely him. We're good. We're good. It's Alex. We do have Ask an Alex. Yes. All right. So yeah, at L-60, the launch director brief, flight vehicle TPS scan results with CIC. I'm pretty sure that's just, let's look at the rocket and make sure everything looks right and go from there. And my buddy Rev over in chat is saying there are people on console that just look over the rocket during countdown and launch. Yeah, absolutely. That's what the launch cameras are for, right? Via the cameras. Dude, I want that job. Hey, AJ, how does it look? Yeah, control. It looks real good. It looks real good. You know? All right. So L-40 minutes and holding. Built-in 30-minute countdown hold begins at L-30 minutes. Final NASA test director NTD briefing is held. At L-20 minutes, or 25 minutes in holding, there's a built-in hold. Transition team to Orion to Earth communication loop following the final NTD briefing. Okay, so that's doing those comm checks that I was telling you guys about, where they're going to make sure that the radios on Orion work. They're going to make sure they can communicate through the ground loop, through tracking, and through TDRS. Tracking data and relay system. Make sure the antennas on the ground work. Make sure the hard line works, which is not going to be working in 15 minutes from this point in the timeline. And make sure that NASA's tracking satellites are working.
I think the L-25 transition to Orion to Earth. Charlie said in the briefing this morning that that'll be merging the launch countdown, which is normally, I think, channel 212, into the same day as what we know as space to ground normally.
Oh, okay. All right. You're talking about communications loops. Okay, cool. Yep. I misunderstood. They will do those communication checks. I know they'll do that. But this is basically making sure that everybody, we'll speak in Discord terms, right? So if mission control or launch control was a Discord, you'd have everybody in separate channels for different systems on the vehicle. So 25 at L-25, they'll bring everybody into one Discord channel for the launch. Okay, cool. I wasn't using Slack. I'll use Discord as the example. We're not using Slack. It's Friday night. For real, chat. I know someone was thinking it. Why Discord? Run a Slack. No. It's Friday night.
Slack's close.
Go grab, right? Go grab a brew or something. Jeez. All right, built-in hold. Launch director polls the team to ensure that they are go. Yep, you guys know what that is. They go around the horn to everybody. You know it from Apollo. Okay, all flight controllers. Yeah, well, that was flight controllers, but you get the idea. They make sure every single person that's monitoring every single system on the rocket is ready. That's what the go no go poll is, and that's why you have a built-in hold here. Because if something isn't go, it gives you a little bit of leeway. All right. Built and hold. Flight crew visors down. I don't think I need to explain that one. Built and hold. Flight crew short purge verification. Alex, what does that mean? What is crew purge? If they need to, do they have the ability to get near the ISS? No, J-Volt, no. The ISS, keep in mind, like if something weird happened, sending it to the ISS would be like, you know, like say you're in the ocean, right? And you're having trouble in the ocean, right? And somebody tosses you a life preserver, right? And the beach is like 10 feet away. No, why would you just go to the beach? In an abort, they would just bring them back down. They wouldn't go to the ISS. Now, this version of this Orion capsule does not have a docking port on it. That would also prove to be a little complicated. Like going to the ISS would be more complication. Suit purge? Yeah, maybe. I see. We're gonna need to get Phil on here because I know like the vast majority of these I know what they are, but some of them I don't. That's when they test their diapers. Kevin, that's where my mind went, and I wasn't going to say it, but I'm glad that you said it out loud, so now I can blame you for it. All right, cool. Thank you. All right. We're into terminal count here. T-minus 10 minutes and counting. Ground launch sequencer initiates terminal count at T-minus 10 minutes. Crew access arm retract at 8. Ground launch sequencers go for core stage tank pressurization. So what they're going to do, remember there was that topping off process that I was telling you guys about where they're recirculating propellants through the vehicle? They'll close that's when they close all those. They close all those vent lines, and then whatever's in the tank is whatever you launch with. Now, people are going to ask, does that mean that some of the propellant will boil off in the tank? A little bit, but not a lot. Orion Ascent pyros are armed. Ascent pyros. I'm wondering if that has to do with the launch abort system, but I'll have to go. We'll have to go check. Orion moves to internal power at T-minus 6 minutes. Core stage LH2 terminate replenishment. That's what I'm talking about. Yep, they're going to shut off the replenishment lines. Launch abort system capability is active at T-minus 5 minutes, 20 seconds. NASA test director lets commander know launch abort system capability is available at 5 minutes, 20. GLS is go for LH2 high flow bleed check. Checking for leaks. GLS is go for flight termination system arm at 4 minutes, 30 seconds. Ground launch sequencer is go for core stage auxiliary power unit, or CAPU for short. Start at T-minus 4 minutes. The core stage auxiliary power system is in the MPS. It's part of the engine section for SLS, and that is what provides the main propulsion system, the engines, with power. The shuttle had APUs there for power. It's power, if I'm remembering correctly, it's power for the thrust vector control systems, for the gimbals, for the RS-25s, but it probably is for other components as well. Yeah, okay, outdoorsman. Yep. All right. Core stage APU starts at T-minus 4 minutes. And let me just speak to that real quick. If you guys watched a lot of shuttle launches back in the day, or you watched the Artemis 1 launch, and you've heard, a launch, you've seen a NASA launch stream right before liftoff, right, where they start the APUs on the shuttle and on SLS, it makes that distinctive like noise. That's the APUs. You can hear them. They'll have it mic'd up. You'll hear them when they go. That's a very familiar noise if you watched a lot of shuttle launches. All right. Core stage locks terminate, replenish. Yep, there you go. You're going to shut the replenish valves on the LOX tank. ICPS LOX tank replenish. GLS is go for purge sequence 4. So purge sequencing here is when they evac all the hazardous gas lines. So the ground umbilical carrier plate, tail service mast umbilical replenishment systems, or the burnoff systems, they purge them all out. That's very similar to like when Falcon launches with the ground gas closeout. The short answer here is that you don't want fuel and oxidizer or hazardous gases inside of your launch pad when the rocket goes to launch, because if they are, then the launch pad catches on fire and possibly explodes. We don't want that. SpaceX does that ground gas closeout so to make sure that there's no liquid oxygen inside of their transporter erector, because it was known for catching on fire in the early days of Falcon. If you watch some early Falcon 9 launches, you see the umbilicals catch on fire as they detach. Fun times, except it's not. Most of this stuff is pretty expensive. We don't need it catching on fire unless we want it to catch on fire, like the rocket engine. We want that to catch. That's what we want. Not the launch pad, though. I mean, maybe some fire, as a treat. Okay, so T-minus 2 minutes and 2 seconds, the ICPS switches to internal battery power. This is basically when they shut the ICPS off from the grid. It's the batteries that are on board are what's powering all the systems. Think of it like if you live in a residential home, a generator transfer switch. It's a transfer switch. You're moving to power being generated or being provided at site versus the grid. That's what that does. That's what the switch to internal power does. You shut off from the grid. The booster will switch to internal battery power 2 seconds right after that. And then the core stage, 30 seconds after that. And then the ICPS enters terminal countdown mode. And then the ICPS has their hydrogen replenished. They shut it off at T-minus 50 seconds to make sure that they're going to squeeze the most performance out of that second stage, because they're going to need it where this thing is going. GLS sends the go for automated launch sequencer. On the shuttle, automated launch sequencer is cool, but on the shuttle, it was auto sequencer start. So what's the auto sequencer? That's the nice way of saying the flight computers on SLS. It's just the computer that sequences the events of the launch. It would think about it like it's the equivalent of run SLS launch.exe. No, it's not using Windows. For the exact reasons why you think it's not using Windows. That's not a good idea. I don't want Windows running my rocket into space. I don't think you do either. Okay. What? I'm sorry. I don't. I'm not just being honest. Core stage flight computer to automated launch sequencer. There you go. T-minus 30 seconds. Hydrogen burn-off igniters. Those are the sparklers. They're there to purge out hydrogen gas from the startup procedure when they spool up the power heads on the RS-25Ds. GLS sends the command for core stage engine start at T-minus 10 seconds. We have ignition on 4 RS-25Ds at T-minus 6.36 seconds. And then T0. We get boosters. No, we got a liftoff. That's when the 2 5-segment SRBs on either side of the core stage send it. And from there, you're going to the moon, baby. Going to the moon. Jay, can you tee up that the infographic showing the launch sequence of events? Oh man, guys, I don't know about you. I was getting myself fired up there. It's like that. It's like that jukebox hero song from Ford. You could picture the scene, right? Like, oh, there it is. And then that's what happens right there. So, yeah, we got tower clear and roll pitch program or roll pitch maneuver, and which is initiated at 9 seconds after liftoff. 1 minute, 11 seconds, you have maximum dynamic pressure, where it's the peak aerodynamic compression load exerted on the vehicle. They will throttle back the engines from there. And then at 2 minutes, 9 seconds, we have solid rocket motor, SRB separation. So SRB jettison, launch escape system jettison at 3 minutes, 18 seconds. Core stage main engine cutoff happens at 8 minutes and 3 seconds. speed at that point is already orbital at core stage main engine cutoff. That's, well, actually, it's not orbital. It's very close. And then ICPS separation and ignition at 8 minutes, 15 seconds. And then you'll get circularization. Basically, you're pretty much circularized from there. They do the perigee raise maneuver 49 minutes in, and then the apogee raise burn 1 hour, 47 minutes, 50 seconds into the flight. From there, you have the ProxOps demo, 3 hour, 24 minutes, 15 seconds into the mission, and then depending on how that goes, after a couple of orbits, shakedown of the capsule, they go for the moon. It's a little bit later, but crazy. This is crazy. This, like, guys, I understand that people don't like SLS. Like, yeah, it's too expensive. They should get the cost down. And honestly, my only beef with SLS is that it doesn't launch enough, if you really want my honest opinion, right? But man, is this going to be a show when this thing goes. Oh, man. And remember, the whole point of this flame trench is me reiterating the point that Jebediah Kerman willing, we are going back to the moon, and at least for a flyby, in less than a month. That's crazy. How did we get here? It's absolutely bananas.
We could see this again within less than a month.
Yeah, right? Yeah, see right there? There's those little puffs. That's the APUs. That's the There's the sparklers. So once again, those are has-gas purging sparklers. They're basically Roman candles, but a really, really cool space age version of one. That's the sound suppression water system. Oh, man, that's going to be sick. Look at that thing go. Dude, that's righteous. Oh, my goodness. Oh, that's pretty cool, man. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I don't hate that. Don't hate that, man. Let's reiterate, Starship is needed for Artemis 3, and we need Starship talk. Dude, I'm just happy that we're in a timeline where NASA still has super heavy launch capability, and the commercial market also has super heavy launch capability. Because I don't know about you guys, like I became a I've always liked spaceflight, dude, but I really got into it in 2010, 2011. That's when I really was like, dude, I really like space. I want to learn more about this. If you have the space bug and you like this stuff, you know what I'm talking about. You're like, I should really learn more about this. And then you discover an infinite rabbit hole of engineering and learning, which, yeah, still learning like 15, 16 years later. I would still tell you I'm not the best at this, right? But also at the same time, when I really started becoming a big spaceflight nut, we had nothing. Nothing. The shuttle went out. Constellation got canceled. And our entire human spaceflight program was basically relying on a company that had barely launched a couple of rockets into space. I mean, that's SpaceX. But, the future was so dang uncertain. It was so uncertain. We didn't know. You didn't know what was going to happen. In fact, like most normies at the time were like, is NASA done? Are we done with it? We don't do that anymore? Is NASA shut down? That's the question I got asked the most when I started streaming. 2012, 2013. What's NASA doing now? Didn't they get shut down? We are a far cry from that now. And man, does it feel good. Oh, it feels fantastic. We have multiple super heavy launch vehicles, and then a cornucopia of heavy launch vehicles backing them up. We got stuff like Falcon Heavy, right? You got stuff like New Glenn 7x2, and then 9x4 coming down the pipe. Starship Block 3, SLS, Falcon. And then, you have kind of like the second wave of commercial companies coming through. This year, Stoke is going to fly that Nova rocket, right? And then you have Relativity with Terranar, which is that's bigger than Falcon 9. And then Rocket Lab with Neutron. This is ridiculous. Oh, this is so good. This is so good. It's so good. The space program is great. This is fantastic. You know, like, you know, everybody, people have their criticisms about SLS. And, you know, if you say commercial is the future, I wouldn't disagree. But also, it's pretty cool to have both. It's pretty cool, man. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. It's pretty good. This is pretty good. I'm just saying. You know, like I said, I remember what it was like when we had nothing. That sucked. That was not cool. This is pretty cool, right? Like, that was not fun. You know? Outdoors and funny story. The man that shall not be named almost got stuck at 39B for Artemis 1 during media setup. Whoops. Yeah, he does that. Yeah, River Turtle, we don't talk about Dream Chaser. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about that. You know, and that's not even, that's just the US. You know, everywhere else around the world, there's new rockets popping up every day. Look at Europe. Look at ESAR. Rocket Factory Augsburg. They'll get one. They'll get it sooner rather than later. The Spectrum launch, ESAR looks to be ready for their Spectrum 2 launch. This is nuts. This is ridiculous. And then, you know, you got Ariane Group doing Ariane Group things. You got Vega C, Ariane 6, which I will say, you know, I don't like giving you guys credit because I think it's funny, but also Ariane 6-4 is a pretty dang good launch vehicle. You could send a pretty hefty payload to Gateway with that thing. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. We should do that. It's be a good idea. Yeah, there's PLD with Mira 5. Like, dude, this is ridiculous. This is great. So many rockets. This is fantastic. We went from being lucky to have 3 launches of anything in a year to having 2 to 3 every other day. I know, Michael, isn't it great? And now we're here. Rollout for Artemis 2 is tomorrow. Back to the moon. That's the prize. That's the prize that we've been chasing. That's the big one as spaceflight fans. I mean, for some of you guys, it's going to Mars, all right? Which, yeah, that will happen. You know, if we keep going on this trajectory, that will happen. But ever since I was like 5 years old and I understood the concept, I was able to rationalize the concept of spaceflight in young EJ's mind. I've been dreaming about this day. When are we going back to the moon? I used to ask my dad that all the time. Just, oh man, we're this close. We're this close. It's great. Enjoy the ride. It's going to be excellent. I mean, it's not going to be as good a ride as, you know, Reed, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy are going to have. They're going to have a really fun ride. But, you know, like I said, we're the cheerleaders. All good vibes from here on out.
You know, EJ.
What's up, man?
When we get a date for Artemis 2, you know where you can put that date? In your NSF calendar.
Oh, look at that. We got a 2026 spaceflight calendar. You could go on next spaceflight and you could mark every single day that we have a launch in your NSF calendar that you can buy, featuring a bunch of pictures from the very talented photographers that we have here, the unsung heroes of NSF, bringing you amazing launch pictures to go in your fantastic calendar. Fantastic. You know, Jay, we did all those prediction streams. I'd be interested to see if, like, somebody, you know, I mean, it's a little bit analog, right? But if somebody bought the calendar and filled it out and saw how many of our predictions came true with like flipping through the calendar like a flip book, that'd be pretty funny, man. That'd be pretty good. Yeah, right?
Hopefully we do it better than last year.
Oh man, my predictions were so bad. I got like everything wrong. 2025 was not my year for this. I'm usually really good at this, but either way, guys, yeah, if you want to give us some support, you want to support our launch photographers, you want to have a good calendar for your office, there you go. Or your bedroom, there you go. You know I'm not big on merch plugs, dudes. It's not really how I roll, but this does support us. It does support us, and it does help us give you cool content like this, where I'm sitting here talking to you about launch countdowns and timelines, for going back to the moon. And then, that basically keeps Jay employed. And Kevin, he does something. I'm pretty sure it's all Jay, right? Right?
Who's Kevin?
Yeah, that's right. All right. Anyway, guys, yeah. You want to go buy a calendar, you need a calendar for your office, bedroom. Consider giving us some support. We'd really appreciate it. Anyway, how long have we been going here, Jay?
We started about 5:10, sort of 3 hours, 3.5 hours in. 2.5.
No, two. We gotta be a little over 2. Little over 2.
Yeah, math is hard. Don't do math while live.
Yeah, doing math in public is, whatever. It's fine. It's fine. 2 hour 15. Nice. 2 hour 20. Good stuff. I you know what? Part of me is like, I want to go and look to see what else is in that dang press kit. There's weather criteria for the rollout tomorrow. It's a little ways down from the timelines, Jay. I think we should probably touch on that, considering the thing is going to potentially roll out in less than 12 hours. You guys ready for more? Ready? I'm going to feed you that knowledge. I'm a chef. We're cooking up food here. Outdoorsman, I refuse to acknowledge your comment because Alco. All right, so the basic weather criteria for rolling to the pad. Do not roll to the launch pad if the lightning forecast is greater than 10% within 20 nautical miles of the launch area during rollout. Do not roll to the pad if there is a greater than 5% chance of a hail forecast in the launch area during rollout. Do not roll to the pad if sustained wind forecast is to be greater than 40 knot peak wind or greater than 45 knots. Do not roll to the launch pad if temperature is less than 40 degrees Fahrenheit. If temperature is less than 40 degrees Fahrenheit or exceeds 95 Fahrenheit. So for Celsius people, that's like 5C, and I think 95 degrees is like 32, 33C, something like that. So you have a delta of between 5 degrees Celsius and 30. Can't be too hot or too cold. It has to be just right. The Goldilocks zone of rollouts. So yeah, I don't think the forecast has any of those criteria for tomorrow. It might be a little bit cold in the morning, but yeah, I think we're looking good for a rollout here. I think we're looking good.
Looking at a very, very reliable weather source of Apple Weather, I'm seeing, we don't go below 12 degrees Celsius.
Oh.
So the temperature's good.
Wait, Jay, which one do you use?
Celsius.
Oh. That's
Real
good,
units.
I guess. Yeah, real units. Yeah, whatever. I prefer lunar units, the country that went to the moon's measuring system in the past. Yeah, I prefer those ones. Those ones are pretty cool. Just saying. What is the rollout duration? I think it's 8 hours. They're gonna go 1 mile an hour, which is 1.6 kilometers an hour, if I'm remembering that correctly. They're gonna see that road there. That's called the crawler way, and it's about the size of like a 10-lane highway. Yeah, they're gonna roll out all the way to 39B. 1 mile an hour. See, that's where they take the left turn at Albuquerque to get to 39B. Yeah. Actually, yeah. Okay, so over 8 hours there from this sweet NSF infographic. Yeah,
in 12 hours-ish.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so they're Guys, the reason why, and I know what people are going to ask, why go so slow? And the long story short is that you don't want to shake the rocket. It has solid rocket boosters on it, those, and a lot of delicate instrumentation on board. Could they go faster with the CT? Maybe. The crawler transporter, when it's unladen, can do almost 2 miles an hour. I'll be honest with you, 1 mile an hour for moving 16 million pounds of launch pad and launch vehicle is that's pretty fast. It's pretty fast considering. But yeah, 12 hours, not 8. I was wrong. Excuse me. Arcanis, I'll show your message. That is for the SRB transport, not for rollout. That's a different phase of the mission. Yeah, keep fireworks in it until launch. James, yeah, that's the gist of it. Yes. Charlie said 10 to 12 at the pre-roll conference. Yeah, cool. It's terrible, Tom, because I covered that thing. I covered that press conference, but I was answering questions in my own chat while the press conference was going on. It's probably a dumb thing to do. I'm going to have to go rewatch that presser. Yeah. They're literally moving a skyscraper, right, Daytown? It's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy, dudes. Okay, but like I said, give me 1 second. I'm just going to throw something in the back channel. Sorry, I was just yelling at Jay. I wasn't. Jay's cool. You like them. All right. Outdoors, and acknowledge or no plate-sized cinnamon rolls when you come to EAA. That's fine. Okay. Is the structural integrity of SLS weaker without fuel on board? Yeah, Gareth, that's the case for most rockets. Actually, super interesting thing. SLS, the core stage, the stuff that does need to be filled, the parts of the vehicle that do need to be filled up on the pad is actually sagging. It's actually kind of sagging over when they're moving it. And only when they fill it up with cold propellants does it contract and actually get rigid. Yeah. Like, say we were doing some Kerbal Space Program stuff and we wanted to launch SLS with no fuel in the core stage, right? It wouldn't work unless there's fuel in the core stage. You wouldn't be able to do it. The vehicle is not structurally able to withstand its flight regime with no fuel in the core stage tank. What time is NSF going to go live tomorrow? Cooks, that's a good question.
I can answer that.
Yeah, Jay,
Current
what do we
plan
got?
Is 7 a.m. Eastern.
You're going to go live at 7 a.m. Eastern?
Correct.
Okay, cool. Sweet.
And then Jared is doing a crew event with media at 9 a.m. Eastern.
At 9, yep. There you go. And all the coverage, NSF's going to give you all the coverage. It's going to be pretty good stuff. Logan, would an SPMT be able to move the SLS? You would need a lot of them, and you would need to pave the crawler way. I did answer this a little bit earlier, Logan. To be honest with you, could SPMTs move it? Maybe. I'd really be worried about the SPMT sinking into the ground. That's the reason why the crawler way is made out of rocks and why the crawler transporter is a tracked vehicle. It's a better way to spread the load. And even then, the Tennessee River rock, the Tennessee River rock is very frangible. It's designed to be compacted. And if you guys are familiar with Falcon 9 landings, Falcon 9 has an aluminum honeycomb crush core in it. So if Falcon 9 hits hits the drone ship a little bit tough, it comes in with a little bit of a rough landing, it'll crush the legs. That's what the crawler way does. That's why the river rock that's on the crawler transporter or on the crawler way gets crushed. It's a crush core to make sure that the crawler transporter, the rocket, and the launch umbilical tower don't sink into the ground. Florida, if you're familiar with it, is very swampy. There's a very high what's called a water table. It's very, very muddy and swampy ground. And, they said you couldn't build a launch pad in a swamp, but we did it anyway. And it never sank into the swamp. Well, that's because of stuff like the crawler way. Yes, this is one that got crushed. See how it's really, really flat on one side and really, really not flat on the other side? Yeah. Of course I have that. Why wouldn't I? It was given to me. It was a gift. It was presents. It's not fungible. It's frangible probably isn't the right word. It gets crushed. And crushing the rocks when the thing moves it, when the crawler transporter moves the mobile launcher with the rocket on it, crushing the rocks absorbs that energy that would otherwise sink the crawler into the ground. Yes, Sail C-39 is on huge tracts of land. Absolutely. I think it's important to acknowledge that Administrator Isaacman has committed to a longer Q&A session tomorrow. He did, Cooks. Yeah. One day, son, this will be all yours. Man, what the VAB doors? No, not the VAB doors. No, you're not going to sing here on this launch pad. Anyway, are there any shuttle flown engines on Artemis 2, or are they all new? They're all flown, Noctralox. They're all shuttle. They're all engines from the shuttle program. Yeah. I don't like that, but if shuttle engines are going to be used in expendable capacity, using them to send people to the moon I'm okay with that. It is what it is.
Hey, EJ.
What's up?
We've about 14 minutes left. 4 people came from space this week.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We're going to talk about that? We could just talk about just a little bit. I mean, yeah. The other thing is that Crew 11 came back and splashed down off the coast of San Diego, California, a little bit earlier this week. Dragon came through, and it was imaged by a WB-57, or that was flying around out there. The crew splashdown was great, and yeah, we didn't really get many views from like the recovery per se. Guys, the reason why Crew 11 came back earlier this week, they were originally scheduled to come down about a month from now. The reason why they came back is because one of the astronauts that was a part of this crew had a medical emergency. Don't worry, they're fine. It's just something that they weren't sure about. And once again, you don't roll the dice in spaceflight. If you have a problem, you fix that problem right away. Work the problem, people, right? Like I don't want to know what it was designed to do. I want to know what it can do. Really kind of that kind of stuff. I mean, that's more spacecraft. But yeah, so Crew 11 did come back down a little bit early, but that was out of an abundance of caution because whatever the medical emergency was is something that really couldn't be treated up at the ISS. I'll be honest, we don't have a medical bay up there. I mean, we do like first aid kit and a couple of other things, but yeah, they did come down. They splashed down. The splashdown was at 3:40 in the morning Eastern time, so that would have been 12:40 a.m. Pacific local time where it came down. Dragon did come down. Everything's good as far as we can tell. Crew 12. The mission that was supposed to relieve Crew 11 is going to happen actually sometime around when Artemis 2 flies. So, yeah, and I know people are going to ask, what was the medical emergency? We don't know. Astronauts' private medical information is not like public knowledge. because it's private. You know, you have the Hippocratic Oath, so we don't really know what went wrong there, and we're probably never going to know because it's personal information. So yeah, all we can do is just hope that you know, whoever did have a problem is healthy and they'll be around to fight another day. The hippopotamus oath. That's what it's called. Hopefully it doesn't end up being something too serious. Well, Jaden, I don't think it's something too crazy, to be honest with you. I don't think it's something too incredibly nuts. The reason why is because if it was a real problem, they would have brought him down sooner. So it wasn't something that's pressing. You know what I mean? Like, oh gosh, we got to get out of here now. Oh my gosh, this person needs to call an ambulance, right? But not for me. No, it wasn't anything like that. It was pretty much done out of an abundance of caution. Once again, you don't want to roll the dice with flight operations like that. All right. You try to keep the ship on an even keel as much as possible. If the ship starts listing in one direction, you don't just sit there and be like, yeah, that's fine. Correct it and go be preemptive about this stuff and don't take any chances that you don't need to. Right. That's what spaceflight is all about. Right. So whatever this was, it wasn't a crazy pressing emergency, but it was something that they needed to bring them down relatively quick for. So it tells me that it's not urgent. It's just something, should probably come down sooner rather than later, just to be sure. Because who knows? Maybe it was something that's a chronic condition. Maybe it'll happen again. Maybe it was something induced from microgravity. Microgravity up there, guys, really screws up your body. Your body, once you get up into space, is like, wait, are we falling right now? What's going on here? It gets a little bit confused. It shifts around lymphatic fluid in your body, and your head swells up, and you look like Mad TV. If you notice, we'll see it with Crew 12 when they first get up there. If they do a press conference, their heads look like they're red and puffy. That's because your body doesn't know how to distribute lymphatic fluid in a microgravity environment. Microgravity can screw up your eyes. You can have macular degeneration in microgravity. That happens. Yeah, you can't see. All of a sudden you wake up one day and you can't see nothing. You're like Han in Carbonite. You know what I mean? Not exactly like that, but you get the idea. It's a good reference, and I took it. I'm going to do it. Of course I'm going to do that. But there's a lot of things. So from the press conference about bringing the crew home early, the doctor, NASA's chief medical doctor, said that it was microgravity induced, and that's all they're going to say. So it's something from being up in space for a long time, and that's all we know, and that's all we'll ever know. But yeah, there's that is not a specific thing. There's 1,000 different things that affect your body when you're up in space. My eyes are already screwed up. Yeah, I know, right? You have macular degeneration, and it's not an acute problem. Yeah, Harrison. Yeah. NSF crew, to the government, these RS-25s have amortized to the point that they are worth less than the new engines. So they are actually a bonus to get another flight out of. Oh, yeah, Tom, for sure. Regarding SLS launching with shuttle engines, Tom, you ever seen Ferris Bueller? Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Sorry, we have a lot of younger people here. They might not know, but if you're an older guy like me, you know the Ferrari, the 1962 Ferrari GTB. It is his love. It is his life. It is his fault. He forgot to lock the keys. Right? RS-25 engines to rocket engines are what that Ferrari is to cars. Right? And if you've seen Ferris Bueller, you know what happens, right? Seriously, it's not necessarily with me, like, it's not about like, oh, it's a shuttle engine, right? It's that you're throwing away a Ferrari, man. You're throwing away a Ferrari, dude. Those RS-25s, guys, like, I understand that Raptor 3 is the new hotness, and I won't disagree. But let me put it to you like this. RS-25 engines are a product of the 70s. They started drawing the designs up for them in 1972, 73, and started doing testing with it, I think 75, 76. And then they flew on the space shuttle, first flight in 1981. It's a product of the 1970s. Even by today's standards, RS-25s are insanely good engines. Now, think about this. You want a material science quiz here? How much you think an RS-25 weighs? It's about as big as a semi-truck. How much you think it weighs? Seriously, don't Google it. If I told you that the RS-25, despite being the size of a tractor trailer, weighs as much as a regular car, would you believe me? Because it does. That engine is absurdly light for what it does. It was the Raptor 3 of its time, and it was so good that even by today's standards, it's an amazing engine. 3 tons, 3,000 kilos for an RS-25. Think about that. That's really light considering how big one of those things are. It really hurts to see them get thrown away because it's such a good motor that it was never designed for that. It was designed to be reused a lot. Like I said, it was the Raptor or Merlin engine of its time. That was the new hotness, right? Yeah, it kind of kills me to see them used this way, right? Like Ferris Bueller is a good example. I won't spoil it if you haven't seen it, but yeah, sorry, it's 4 to 5 tons. I was Raptor 3 in my head. It's 4 to 5 tons on that engine, but that's still nothing. That is nothing. Look how much an RS-68 weighs. And then get back to me. An RS-68, a simpler engine. Look at how much that thing weighs. You'd be amazed. Yeah, I didn't say it right. Sorry. Rattling off the top of my head, and, doing math in public. You get the idea. But anyway, Jay, are we about ready? Is it that time? Is this where I leave you?
We have 3 minutes, 50 seconds.
All right. I think it's time to wrap this up. I'm gonna get through the last bit of support here. Mr. Fluffy with a $2 super chat. Definitely playing Galaga on the Orion pad. Absolutely. Well, that was good. That was fun. I enjoyed that.
I'm here for the EJ Trench.
You're here for the EJ Trench. EJ's been talking for 2 hours, 35 minutes by himself. This is what I do, Kevin. This is what I do, dude. But yeah, I hope you kind of enjoyed this a little bit off nominal flame trench thing. I mean, pretty good discussions. We learned a lot about the Artemis 2 countdown timeline. That's pretty good. Hopefully you guys will join us tomorrow when we do the rollout. There's going to be a little bit early, but we'll be up for it. So once again, thank you everybody. If you stuck to the end, I really appreciate it. If you guys are watching this VOD of the Flame Trench, thanks for watching the whole thing. We really appreciate it. Really, really do. It's a privilege being here, and I don't take it lightly. Yeah, I do get some information off the top of my head wrong from time to time, and I apologize about that. But I try to bring my A game here as much as possible. If you like this, I do stream on Twitch from time to time, Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. to noontime to 10 p.m. Usually do about 10-hour streams during the week. If you want to come join me over there, some of that time is talking about spaceflight, just like this. We play games over there. I work on my cars. It's pretty cool. If you want to learn something, I try to make it so people learn something, and hopefully you learn something from this Flame Trench. Bringing up the rear with the gear, we had Jay Keegan on production tonight. Jay, thank you for joining me. Really appreciate it.
It was fun.
Yeah, this was a good time. This is a good time. You guys let us know if you want to see more stuff like this. I'm down to do more stuff like this. I love it. It's really good, man. Really good stuff. So, yeah, thank you for everybody for watching. Jay, this is the part where we show all the people that support us, right? That's what we do now?
That is what we do.
Thank you for all the launch directors and flight engineers that support us, guys. We can't do what we do without you guys supporting. Really appreciate it. So I think that's going to do it for us. Jay, are we good? Did we finish? We actually got this done. We actually got this done. This is fantastic. This is fun. What's up? Jay, this is Flame Trench host, UHF comm check.
I accidentally restarted Discord. Oops.
You hit the wrong button? We made it this far and you hit the wrong button?
I control R the wrong window. Twice is coming out.
Oh.
That's because.
Oh, yeah, dude. We got This Week in Spaceflight coming up here in about 30 seconds. Guys, if you want to join us through, we'll send you right through that. If you stay tuned, you go over there. This Week in Spaceflight is basically doing what I do here, except not being an idiot. You know, so if you want a more formal version of this, probably go check that out. So for now, I'm EJ. I stream over on Twitch. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. I hope you have a good night. Let's go watch Twist.
And here we go.
There's the W. Here's ignition.
Doubling up.
Did it just do a Kerbal?
Back to the moon and beyond.
Put that in the big bag, Gino.
Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, it sure looks like a perfect world.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
We did have an observation.
Equalize.
343 unfolds to go.
It's orange.
Water towers can fly!
Bingo! Right in the center. Where's Jacqueline? There it is!
That was surreal.
That's not what we want to see.
No.
Oh my God.
Yikes. You bet. We don't need any more of these.